Yeah, I mean, the camera audio looks good.
I guess
The,
there wasn't that really that much to
and
do
let's
since we're
see.
not trying to. He thinks that the OBS. Did you download that?
You want me to talk to him for a sec?
We're live, by the way.
Oh, oh,
No, it's
sorry.
fine. Um, Once you get the technical setup, we'll see if it's choppy or not. Because Eric had the same
Okay.
problem. But you guys are using Macs, so we'll see.
Okay.
All right, Angel Tibbs is here. The Broken Carpenter, hi. So we've got. Oh, so you can see on the screen we now have the live chat on the YouTube stream.
Uh, Michael, come here, please.
The,
Gallery view. Oh, okay, wait.
Hi,
I just
Sior.
see
Hey,
the two
someone.
of us.
Jonathan Melton.
Yeah, it'll widen out.
Awesome. Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
I think. We'll
Hey,
see.
Jared. Uh, so I'll wait for people to join. Oh, there's Eric.
It says Niko.
Yeah. He's got to change his default name. Hey, Niko.
Hi.
Hi. You got your name as Niko still.
Oh my God. Oh, I had to fix that.
Yeah. All right. So
There we go.
great, ACR. The baby's good. AM99. So we're just waiting, and I got popcorn. I want to kind of just tune out and just watch you guys. I'll moderate the chat.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep.
Oop, that's my phone.
Hey, what's going on here? Oh,
Notifications.
that.
Oh yeah, there we go.
It was cool because I do the Patreon for Mike Figueredo of the Humanist Report. So he had Google Hangouts, and he was actually peeking in onto my YouTube channel, seeing what was going on. So I thought that was pretty awesome. He's
Yeah.
pretty cool. He loves the idea of having a panel like this. So maybe we'll see him one day, or at least with like Tim and the other bigwigs.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh,
Now, wait, did he go over to TYT or not?
he's just an affiliate, so I think if there's any trouble
Okay.
with like um, copyright strikes and things like that, I think they'll
Okay.
help him out. I don't know all the details. That's just an
Yeah.
assumption.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Yes, Metalhead. I guess this is a new show. It's for everyone that follows Tim and a whole bunch of other independent media. So you guys can come in and just talk about whatever event. It's hard to event because even I think everyone's pretty much the same way, where you can't really talk about politics in your views with a lot of friends and neighbors because they're still towing the establishment line.
Oh yeah.
You'll get kicked out of the PTA or something like that.
Or kicked out of a town hall meeting.
Oh boy. How do I find this? Okay, I think. Good. I can't tell. Oh, okay, there it is. So people are slowly coming in. Hopefully,
Cool.
we get people in. And check this out. If you guys look at your YouTube, I got a ad promo. Haha, that's cool, huh? I just made that. Do you see it on the YouTube screen?
Okay. Hang on.
Oh, Red Economics will be on at 11.
Okay,
Oh,
just
good.
awesome.
I love talking to her. She's great.
Hmm. And she's gonna be a co-host, so people don't know that. So all of us are hosting one night, or at least not. I'm like a backup right now. Just whenever you guys need a break. And So Redneck Economics will be with Kelley Lane and Eric to host the show.
Cool.
That's great.
Which is awesome. I didn't realize that this would be kind of popular. I mean, it's a low crowd, but it is kind of fun. Time goes by quick when you're talking to
Big
everyone.
time.
Yeah. I think it shows like how much pent up, like all the stuff everyone has to say
Yeah.
because
Exactly.
they can't talk in their community or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So should we wait a little bit to?
Yeah, I mean,
Alright.
I'd
can
say
still
let's
talk.
wait. Yeah, you guys can talk about stuff.
Okay.
So I kind of missed it because I was working on a couple of things. What was the first snippet of Tim Black's? He was doing a redo of the shooting of
Tamir Rice.
Tamir Rice. What
Mhm.
was the issue? Why did he have to redo that?
I think there was something going on with his mic. I missed the first like 10 minutes, so I'm not exactly sure. Was it
Oh,
his
There was
mic?
something wrong with his mic. I think it was like a little like too loud,
Oh, okay.
but he redid the story and it was amazing.
Yeah.
Also, he also went off on Kathy Griffin and that whole shtick.
Gotcha.
Hey, this is someone actually used to being a fan of hers, but it's like it was just ridiculous, beyond ridiculous.
Aren't we finding that with so many
Hollywood
like,
Democrats.
Yes, like what? I feel like they've just gone crazy because they lost.
Yeah,
like,
they.
thinking
Oh,
about
sorry.
Yeah, no, just that, it's hypocritical, first of all, because they would be losing it, like Tim said, if it was Obama's head. But no, I think they've just gone off the deep end because Trump won. It just started like, I don't know.
It's the entertainment industry. I mean,
Mhm.
it's becoming extremely toxic, and plus all these Hollywood Democrats, they've become nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just going to be honest when I say this. They know how to put the word cult into culture. That's honestly how I truly feel about that.
Yeah. I wish George Carlin were still here.
Oh,
But
I wish
one
you
t-
were here too.
But you know what happened about, gosh, I think it was like a year ago. I tweeted something, a George Carlin like clip, and I can't. It was very political. I don't even remember exactly what it was. And I had seen Kelly Carlin on Redacted Tonight, and I included her in the tweet, and she responded to me like, please don't send clip like this. She gets this barrage of clips from people, all the time about her dad, and then it was really painful. I was like, oh, so I just felt so bad, so I like apologized. But I mean, she was like, nobody really knows, what he would have said about this.
That's a good
But
point.
anyway, right, that's true. But I think you can look at a lot of his clips now, like it's the big club and you ain't in it.
Mhm.
That kind of stuff seems very relevant now.
Oh yeah, big time. And I love George Carlin. He's amazing. I'm honestly very respected comedian. Honestly,
Mhm.
Kathy Griffin, I kind of, here's one thing. I like funny women, but, she became so unfunny, like, really nowadays. And plus, she went to the DNC. Like, I was like, I was like so mad about the Hollywood Democrats and the whole DNC. It was like some big celebrity fuckfest right there. Part of my when I say that.
You're being ridiculous.
Oh, Sarah Silverman. Honestly, that was like that just triggered.
Yeah, really.
But I was being funny, with the whole triggered. It's just like with Hollywood Democrats, they're completely out of touch. They're truly out of touch with the American people. Although we fund their entertainment. Why not boycott them? Honestly, boycott the mainstream media. Honestly. And they were, some of the Hollywood people were, once, average Joes like us, and they became so rich and became so out of touch with the American people. And I honestly don't get how we're still funding their entertainment. One, two, I mean, we should just start boycotting the entertainment industry and see if they actually truly get our message and actually truly reach out to the American people. Because honestly, I'm tired of all this Hollywood Democratic bullshit. Pardon my French once again.
It's okay. So I thought. Oh, sorry, Yvonne. Are you?
Oh, I'm just messing with some settings. I'm sorry.
Oh,
that's
okay.
I realized.
Was gonna say, huh?
Oh, I realized when I muted yesterday on Ring Central, it didn't mute through the OBS studio. So when I was typing, I thought I was being quiet, but people could hear me typing, and I got to remember to adjust that for tonight. So it's still
I think this
a
is
lot
working
of
pretty well considering it's yeah, we're new at it. I was actually like not glad, of course, that Tim was in a bad mood, but it was funny and the way because I was actually in like kind of a foul mood myself. Just a bunch of annoying things happened today, so to tune into him and he's like, just it kind of was like, oh, okay, it's something in the air today. I don't know.
Oh, he kept it real.
Yeah, but I was like, oh, am I in the mood to do this for the first time tonight? Because I'm feeling kind of grouchy, you know.
I was a little nervous yesterday, and I'll admit to that.
Well, this is.
I'm nervous all the time. I don't like being in front of the camera. Not at all.
Well, you know, that's funny because I really don't either. Like throughout the primary and the election, like I had so many things I wanted to say, and I wish I had found something like this to do because I kept trying to make these little videos. I'm like, I'm going to post it on Twitter. And I'm so bad at just talking to a camera. Like I must have done like deleted it to do because I kept trying to make these. Oh, there I am. But if I'm talking to other people like this, I'm not like self-conscious about being on the camera. I just don't want it to just be just me. Like I couldn't do what Tim does. I got to bounce it off people, you know?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I like to do that. I mean, sometimes I just want to make videos. And, like, you know, I try to do my best on to make videos, though. I mean, I only have like a few videos, and plus one of them is like, you know, me talking about Hollywood Democrats and them, you know, blaming the wrong people. I mean, it does make sense. I mean, I'm trying to connect the dots with Hollywood Democrats. I mean,
right, like Bill Maher and the whole fuck yourself with an organic cucumber. It's like, what? Who do you think you're talking to, Bill? Really? Like,
I call him Minge Face Mar.
I'm so like I just how love turns to hate. No, I paid to go see him. So I'm like, well, how is that possible now? So anyway, should we? Who else? Is somebody else on yet?
Yeah, Ben. He's muted, or now he's not.
Oh, okay.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Hi, Ben. How's it going?
You're back for more, huh?
Yeah, sure. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Great thing.
Let's see. So you guys can keep talking. I need to adjust a couple of things, so.
Okay, take your time. No rush.
Yeah. Let's see.
So I don't know, Eric, did you do any like little intro about yourself or anything yesterday? I was thinking about this, like if anybody, I don't know, just like to introduce ourselves a little bit.
Okay. You go first, Kelley. You're the host today. Ladies first.
You were first yesterday. Okay. Yeah, partly it I also think hearing other people's stories are very interesting, especially since we have such a wide range of people. All these independents, some used to be Republican or Democrat, and you know, we're like the diversity, the real diversity here, right? So I just think it's interesting to hear people's stories. But let's see. I guess I'll just say my two top favorite topics are the media. I have a journalism degree and had a couple articles published in a little rinky-dink publication in Asheville, North Carolina, on lead paint and other such things. And let's see, what else? My other, I guess, great interest really is income inequality. And a lot of that comes from me personally. I've had like very unusual circumstances in my life where I've seen like both extremes. And I just think it gives me a very unique perspective that a lot of people don't have. And I think there's a lot of misunderstanding between, well, all of us, or whatever bubble you're in. It's hard if you haven't experienced other bubbles to understand. But so I guess those are my two main areas of interest. But yeah. So.
Like me, I have like a bunch of interests, like so many of them. Like obviously politics. I do my best to actually do my own research. I really do. Video games. I'm a huge gamer. Hi, Dominic. Let's see my other topics.
I have not seen a pipe in a long time. What you smoking in there?
Captain Black.
Oh, okay.
What's up, Ebon?
Hi, Dominic. Great. How are you?
Good.
It's been a while, huh?
Yeah.
You were here when we were using the Skype for Business. Do you think this was a lot easier than the other one?
It was pretty easy to get on.
Okay. But you got on the other one pretty easy too, so.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Mine was a little difficult for some reason. But this is a lot better.
That's good.
Where are you, Dominic?
I'm sorry?
Where are you in the country?
Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
By Easton.
Where is that? East, west?
Easton, it's by Allentown, not too far from Allentown.
Oh, okay.
Larry Holmes is from Easton, the champ.
Oh, okay. We make treks up there in the summer. My daughter works at an arts camp up there.
Oh.
Way out in the middle of nowhere, Wanda.
Oh, all right. It is pretty far up.
Yeah, it's very pretty though. And I actually lived in Pittsburgh when I was young too. But
Pittsburgh was tough. I used to drive a truck. I used to always get lost out there.
Okay.
You were listening earlier about the distractions from the celebrities. It'd be so nice if they would get on that stage instead of like making fun of Trump, start educating people about healthcare and how much better it would be if we had single payer healthcare and all the lies that are being spread about that. But
you're right.
To it.
I mean, they could use it for something educational, at least complaining about something, but then actually use that podium to speak truth.
Yeah, if they could just get like one topic and just all get on that instead of just talking about Trump. The Dems are
it's
just
not even funny.
What about a focus on the environment?
Yeah, so something that's going to be useful instead of just wasting their breath and firing people up about nothing. Get them fired up about something that we can do something with.
Yeah, celebrities do engage in fake outrage just for attention. And I like the lampoon on celebrities, honestly, because they talk about the smug corporate phony issues. It sucks.
Yeah, like Bill Maher, you're talking about him earlier. He was I used to like the guy. I paid to see him too one time. I wouldn't pay to see him now. He couldn't pay to go see him now.
You know what I realized about him? It's not like it's new that he's an asshole. He's always been an asshole. It's just that there was a time where he was being an asshole to the right at a time where that wasn't taken too far. When I guess Republicans were in power and that we were dealing with, if he was using it aimed at bigotry against gay people, or it was that great sardonic wit that he had, and he would use it in a way that I guess it was just on what we wanted to hear. And that's what you realize, like now it's like he's attacking like so many different groups, Muslims now. He's going to piss off liberals too, I think.
Yeah. He's going to bury his own career grave right now.
I think he will. It's going to be fun to watch.
Oh, it's going to be fun. And plus I'm totally going to make ridicule videos about Minge Face Mar. I call him Minge Face because honestly, honestly, with Bill Maher, everyone thinks he's an asshole. I just think he's a pussy these days.
Yeah. Well, I think I said last time I was trying to get greasy gray mullet to trend. You know, stooping to his level. Shame on me.
But, you know, I just love the name Minge Face Mar since, like, you know, he's a pussy face too. But, you know, in the Minge, because I watch South Park. And,
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's the only thing I really, truly watch for, you know, when it comes to mainstream.
Mm. See, I couldn't watch South Park for a very long time because when you have kids and all you ever see on TV is like cartoon character thing, you want to actually see real humans when you
True.
watch TV. So it's like enough with the cartoon.
Which I can understand and relate to that.
But it is funny.
Oh, big time.
Where did Stevie go?
I'm right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. See, I like cartoons, but then I can't watch my cartoons until my kids go to sleep. I have to
Right.
wait until the kids go to sleep to watch cartoons.
Yeah.
Adult cartoons. I mean, they are funny though.
Yeah, Rick and Morty probably not appropriate for 4-year-olds.
Oh, I love Rick and Morty.
So wait, do we have someone in the sixth box here? I don't see names on. Am I supposed to see names?
Yeah, on the bottom left.
Mm-mm.
No.
They were, or I think. Oh, now it is on Stevie's.
It should be on everyone's. Maybe your settings. You might have to have your husband mess with some of your settings.
Michael. I think he's indisposed at the moment. Okay,
So-
who's the sixth person?
Ben Green.
Oh, that's Ben. Okay, right.
Uh,
It just doesn't have picture.
So Dominic, you haven't been on in a while. Any topics you want to start going in on?
Actually, I've been out of touch for a little bit. I've been
Oh, okay.
the weather a little bit, and I haven't even been on the computer. Just been hanging out, playing around. But the big thing, I guess, today was that everybody's talking about that Griffin thing with the beheading Trump. I mean, that was pretty gross.
Mm-hmm.
What's funny is I don't even know the mainstream media news until it gets to the independent media news. Then I know it's kind of noteworthy, at least
Right.
for a discussion topic.
I don't watch it. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. You know it's bullshit.
Yeah.
You know,
She's just doing it for attention. She clearly does it for attention, and I would know that from a former fan like me. She does it only for attention, and I would know it.
Yeah. It's like the only time I really see her, aside from, was it news radio way back? It was every New Year's, I guess. Her and Anderson Cooper, they do a thing. It's kind of bad, but it's kind of entertaining in a bit. So
Yeah, so like, oh, let's watch the ball drop. Oh God, this again. I mean, it used to be kind of funny when she was putting stuff on him or painting his head. I don't know, and it just got stupid.
I like it when she asks him, just name one football team. he doesn't know any football teams.
Oh yeah.
Funny.
hey, I was watching Mike Cernovich earlier. He was going off on it really big time. You know, saying to go after the advertisers. They went after Fox when they talked about Seth Rich. Now he's saying they're going after Fox for that, but they're letting her get away with threatening the president with beheading. And he says you got to call their advertisers and tell them that she shouldn't be hosting the New Year's Eve party.
It's just sick. But even before I sort of got disgusted with the Democrats, I was always the parent that still other kids will be like, oh yeah, I watch Game of Thrones, and they're like 10 or 11. And I don't that's too much. I don't let my kids watch really violent stuff, and so I've always been had a problem with things like that in movies and TV for kids. And I feel like a lot of liberal parents that I know just are like, whatever, they don't care. It doesn't matter what it is. They watch anything and everything. And so I would always align with the more conservative parents, the rare conservative parents around here, that were like, they might have been doing it for religious reasons. Like sometimes it would get weird. It would be like they didn't want them to watch Harry Potter because of religious, or read Harry Potter. So I didn't agree with that. But it was usually the conservative parents that I was in line with on like media viewing with our kids. I don't know, Stevie, do you have any other parents?
I definitely, and it's kind of hard because, both my kids, they love video games, so it's like, I got to watch the TV, and I got to watch, well, we don't have cable, but, the games are well, usually I end up playing the games with them anyway, so.
No, what games?
If anything pops up, if anything ever pops up, usually, I can turn it off pretty quick, but, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to kind of filter that for kids, and it's just like, well, you don't want to candy coat it, like, oh, when you get hurt, you want them to know the impact of it, but
Right.
I grew up pretty young, watching a lot of scary, bloody movies and playing a lot of violent video games. The only thing is back then it was really not very high quality. Like right now, it looks very realistic. So if I was young, watching all the very great, very great quality production of video games and movies or TV shows, I would probably, I don't know, I think I would have been affected a little bit more. So that kind of gets into a consideration as to what they can watch, what they can play. But my wife is like you, is like that part of life, watching of TV screens and games. She's really conservative. She's pretty liberal otherwise. And me, I'm just, nope, anything goes. You can go ahead and watch this.
Well, I've noticed
stuff.
it's a lot of people that are very into fantasy, sci-fi and fantasy stuff don't have a problem with it. And I guess maybe it's different that way. I don't know, but
that's understandable.
Yeah, but I agree with you. It was way more campy, like what my husband watched when he was younger. But I think I worry about it desensitizing them to violence. Like if something is really bloody, it should bother you. I don't know if you grow up like.
But what about the other stuff like language and sex? Like we see a lot of that, and we're less okay with that than we are with showing people dying with like their heads cut off and all this other stuff.
That's pretty amazing.
That's such a good point, because I did that with my kids. I found like there was a scene that came up in a show or something, and I was like, oh no, and I panicked, and I realized I was panicking worse than if the guy would have gotten shot. And I'm like, why am I so more panicky over this than actual violence? So it's just I know my youngest, he's too young for that stuff, but then it's just the older one is he's 7, so it's kind of I don't know. Once he gets a little bit older, I guess I can just explain it to him, but I don't know. It's kind of hard to walk that line. It's just that programming is just oh my gosh, affection, turn it off, put it back on the balance.
I think more in the how do I explain this? So my daughter's friend, her mom is oh yeah, she watches everything. I just tell her not to watch porn. Well, I don't even know if she's noticing whether or not she's doing that. But I think she finally understood what I was saying. I said, it's not that I'm trying to shield her from trying to treat her like a baby. Is that I don't like the programming. By that I mean the brainwashing. All these teen girls or preteen girls have a phone. They're all I feel like you can go to any middle school in the country. They're all talking about the same things, using the same slang. They're all, do you know what I mean? Whatever is popular then. So it's it's almost this massive brainwashing of like what's popular, whether it's usually one of the Kardashian thing, or I don't know, various YouTubers, but I think especially for girls, because it becomes all about like makeup tutorials and they obsess on this stuff. And like Instagram is like, is my butt big enough? And I mean, these are like 12-year-olds, okay? Seriously.
What was it? What was it like? What was the analogy of that? Like in your? I'm sorry, but I was just gonna ask if you can remember something when you were young. If there was something like that that maybe your parents like frowned upon. Our culture.
My mother paid no attention whatsoever. I mean, really, I didn't. We didn't watch a lot of TV. She said, "Turn off the idiot box and go outside." But I don't know. I mean, I'm 46, so I'm older, and we just didn't.
Was it Beatlemania? It wasn't Beatlemania. I don't think you're quite.
No, I'm not that old. It was like Madonna and Prince, and I don't know, all the sitcoms and stuff that were really kind of harmless, I guess. But I think
Madonna
it's
was harmless. I don't know.
Well, I'm trying to think of TV shows. I just didn't watch a lot of TV, but for having a 12-year-old daughter, it's just I want her to think for herself and not just worry about fitting in and like about things about her appearance and stuff like that. I
just have more options now, like with this like internet opening up and just all kinds of options and I don't know, all kinds of choices.
But what was the first part?
I just said, shouldn't they have more options now of like things? I mean, it's like it was like Madonna, then it was like Britney Spears or like Miley Cyrus or whoever, and Taylor. I don't know. I don't really know. I'm not gonna pretend to know, but I just I think that eventually it should open up to where that and I guess maybe then you just find a common culture of everybody doing, like you said, lipstick, makeup tutorials, and all these things. I don't know because I can't really speak on that like as much.
You don't have a preteen girl.
Anyway, I don't think I can say anything further without being like presumptuous about the female experience or something like that.
That's okay. Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to.
I think it's advertising that is really the toxic part, because that's the part that tells you how broken you are and how you need fixed and how you need their product and this is what you need to be, and I mean, you'll get that in the shows and stuff too, but like the advertising is like seriously toxic.
I wanted to point out that I think we all understand that advertisement is bad and it's like going to be trying to sway us and stuff. But I think what we don't understand is like as much and identify as quite as clearly is that internet has a lot of advertisement as well. And there's a lot of people selling stuff and shaping opinion. And it happens more easily because we're not as on guard for it, I believe, somehow. Because it's just sort of more like, it's sort of like more ubiquitous, like everywhereness. Like it's just like everywhere, like every corner of your screen, fitting it in everywhere, every type of way, shape, and form.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, like with Netflix, I mean, now they have the advertising in the TV programs because they know that people aren't getting exposed to the ads now. So, it's in the shows. You have to be super careful with that stuff.
Wow.
I thought of a good example. So a while ago, all of my daughter's 7th grade class was watching Grey's Anatomy. I don't really think that's the appropriate thing for 12-year-olds, but so they would come to school, and then it was like all the girls could talk about was who their parent was dating things with other. I don't know. I guess I just.
Eric knows what I'm talking about. In South Park, there's the episode where like they make fun of the High School Musical, and at the end, spoiler alert, the boys learned that basically it wasn't just musicals that were cool. It was that this kid, like whoever his name was, like Brian in the episode, like that he was cool, and whatever he did, the girls wanted to follow. So maybe there's just some girls in your daughter's class that are like the cool ones, and they like Grey's Anatomy. It can happen that easily. Like I just think it's what people think. Girls want to follow makeup tutorials or watch Grey's Anatomy because they think that's the cool thing for girls to do. And I mean, we can't really control how that's shaped. I mean,
I guess I just tried to.
Sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say. I said let's watch a MythBusters marathon, something like that. That's what we try to do. Watch Bill Nye the Science Guy, or I don't know. We try to make efforts that way. Like something good for your brain. Yeah.
But I agree with Ben on the whole South Park discussion, I completely 100% agree. It is.
That show is full of insights, like everywhere. Like it's really
big time.
Really clever guy. Trey Parker is just a really genius guy, and I mean, he's I don't know. It's really hard to explain, but there's so much cultural insight. Sometimes 3 or 4 different topics will be covered in a show, and they just like do it so easily and effortlessly, and with toilet humor. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, season 20, they pretty much, they made fun of nostalgia with the member berries and like, the whole thing with political, the whole 2016 election and pretty much trolling. I mean, you could really learn a lot from South Park because they still keep it real in a sense.
I'm glad my parents let me watch Simpsons when I was a kid. Like they tried to not let me watch it, and I watched it, and then they told me not to watch Beavis and Butthead, and I would like sneak in my grandparents' like back room and watch it or something. And like I don't know, I don't know. It's gonna happen, I guess. And I don't want. I guess the bad thing or the negative thing consequence could be like if you don't like let them. I don't know. be one of the cool kids or like know whether it's Grey's Anatomy or whatever.
I mean, with my parents, like they allowed me to watch anything, but they explained, so I, had a better understanding of, what's real and what's fake and not. I mean, yeah, I did watch South Park, from the very beginning at a very young age.
Yeah, I don't know. Like when I was growing up, it was like this weird. A lot of times we didn't have TV or even cable, so it was, I watched like Disney movies, and then like I watched a lot of news because that was something like me and my grandma would do. We would watch news together. We watched the O.J. Simpson trial, so like that probably not so much, good for kids, but it was kind of like it was more realistic. So it wasn't like a cartoonish, depiction. Like it was showing it for what it really was. And that and I read a lot. It was like Stephen King and stuff. So it was like I was exposed to it, but it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't like the graphic, like video games and glorified. Is what I'm trying to say.
I don't play really much of the glorified video games these days. Like I only play like I play with the stuff I actually truly like. Like I still play Mario. I'm a huge Zelda fan. I love The Legend of Zelda.
My older daughter does too.
Oh, my favorite game is Ocarina of Time.
So, Dominic, I don't want to put you on the spot of asking how old you are, but I often comment that, Walter Cronkite is rolling over in his grave. I'm kind of changing the subject a little bit here, but, just about our news and not having just straight up facts news. I'm wondering if you have any, perspective of how you've seen it change over time.
Oh, yeah. I was listening to the conversation. I was thinking back when we were kids. I'm 68, and we had 3 channels, and you had to go out and twist the antenna to try to get it to get clear. And the shows we saw were like Frankenstein and Dracula, and they were the big, a lot of war movies. Right after World War II, so you had a lot of war movies going on, but the news was totally different. It was real news then, but now like TV used to go off like at 1 o'clock. Then that pattern would come on. They'd play the national anthem, and it would go off until like 6 o'clock in the morning. So it was a totally different experience back then. Video games, we had our big thing with pinball machines. Rack up about 6 games on a pinball machine, you were the champ of the block.
It's a totally different experience, yet there's still the principle of like entertainment and news. Information.
I don't think the news was so much entertainment. It didn't seem to me.
I'm saying TV and channels, there's the same principle running through it all. It's like you still have this like place where you receive information, entertainment, and now it's just there's a million channels or infinite channels as opposed to the few, and there's still a mainstream element. And so I guess the thing is that with like people who are smaller, like Tim Black, I think that all those old pillars of, like the big major newspapers and the major television stations and so forth, like they're a little bit like they're naturally going to be like weary of this technological aid and everything opening up where, and just like a lot of middlemen, like we don't need them anymore. We can bypass them, and they're definitely territorial and worried about things. So I think that's why Tim gets a lot. Like Tim has to work hard, and it happens so slow for him, is because really genuinely they're like sort of like some of those they're insecure or like about their position and their stronghold. And I'd say that they should take a different route. I think they should make their material really good and make it logical and rational and nonpartisan as possible, and go back to the basics so that people stay with them and don't go elsewhere. But they just want to like put everybody else down so that they look good, or make it against the law, or shut down like fake news, or defund them and so they quit. I don't know, whatever.
Let's see. Do you guys mind if I just jotted down some things on
Sure.
him, and one thing I did today, I actually this is way off topic. I tweeted at Elizabeth Beck because a while ago, I think it was last week or the week before. I have so much admiration for them. I really, really do. But I was getting kind of concerned about the rhetoric on Twitter, and I just thought, oh, they shouldn't respond to the trolls. Maybe I mentioned this last time. But I happened to go on her Facebook page. I can't remember where I heard something about the Sean Lucas police report or autopsy report that she had posted it or something on her Facebook page. So I went there to look at it. That's another topic we can get into. But anyway, I just really want to give like kudos to her because she posted this thing about her very troubled upbringing. And she said, look, if I have potty mouth and, this is how I don't act this way in the courtroom. But, I was on the streets and I had this really just very difficult upbringing. And so that's who I am. And that's my story. And I just thought that was really cool that she did that and sort of changed my perspective a little bit, because I thought, oh, they shouldn't do that. They shouldn't respond this way. But that's her way of like fighting back. And I don't know, I thought it was really cool. And she posted a picture of herself, like, I think it was her passport photo when she came here as a teenager, and then a picture of her now. But she said she had to like steal food and all kinds of stuff. So anyway, I just wanted to say that. And I tweeted at her that I said, thank you for sharing your story and, go get them.
We all have a different story within our own story.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, I can relate to that as well. I mean, like I used to be like, when I was a kid, I used to be like totally filthy mouth. But, I came to actually better mature myself when I became more adult. So I'd be, less profound, which is understandable.
Yeah. Well, when you grow up in a rough situation or go through a rough time, that just happens. Yeah. But she also posted that she was going to a shooting range for practice. So I don't know if anybody wants to discuss that at all. The mysterious bodies that keep washing up and stuff.
That's scary. That's completely scary. Especially, is that all happening in Florida?
I just know about the prosecutor. So.
Oh yeah, like that. Since I live in Florida, I mean that shit's been happening, and like I'm really staying inside.
How far are you from where the lawsuit is?
I'm about
Miami, I think.
Yeah, I'm about a couple hours away.
Oh, okay.
Like I think like about 2 or 3 hours maybe.
Mm-hmm. So I'm in this progressive chat room thing. I just got an invitation to it, and I would say they're very much anti-Hillary, anti-DNC, and very, very, Bernie supporters. But I happened to catch, and I don't really join in very much on it. It was about a month ago, I think someone invited me to it. But I happened to see this thread of people were saying all this, like, really super dismissive of the Seth Rich story. And like one of them was even saying, this is like the Sandy Hook truthers, like that Sandy Hook didn't happen. And I had to chime in. I was like, I'm probably going to get booted out of here. But I said, look, I'm not a right wing conspiracy theorist. I'm not an Alex Jones type. Sorry, I hope that doesn't offend anybody. But but look at the facts of this case. It's highly suspicious. There's nothing wrong with like questioning this. And if it were any other case, if this were in the Trump campaign or something, you'd be all over it. So it was kind of weird. Like I was tiptoeing, like I just didn't, I wanted to get them to listen, but to do it in a way that was like, just look at it. And I posted one link, which was the Craig Murray thing. I don't know if you guys know about that. It was out in December, but where he kind of hints at, that it was somebody around DC, and he said very clearly that it wasn't a hack. It was a leak. So, but it's just interesting because I thought, well, if we can't even get those people to listen, they're dismissing it. Like, they're scared to be labeled.
I wanted to say about Florida, that I heard a good point recently in some discussion about Florida. Like, I really couldn't argue with, it's just to say that, the like positive feedback and all the climate change, variables and what have you, let alone not the toxic elements or contamination of things that can happen with environmental concerns, but just on the climate change aspect with how Florida, people are building, like down there in southern Florida, Fort Lauderdale or something, people are building like $10 million houses or $5 million houses, which are going to be underwater in basically 20 or 30 years or something. So I don't know. That's one thing I wanted to mention. And then I forgot the other thing that was sparked. Maybe that'll come to me.
Well, Kelley's conspiracy theory about the Sandy Hook shooting. Actually, I'm kind of for it. Anytime any entity in power starts to suppress investigation, I think there's validity to whatever conspiracy theory there is. Anytime there seems to be a destruction of evidence or evidence disappearing, I see another, because that means there is potential of conspiracy because people are working together to not get caught. So,
but in the case
that's fine. I can hold my point. I was just going to say, I remembered my point as well.
Okay, we'll go back to Stevie.
But
I was just going to say, like the one, the what was it? The shooting where what was it? 6 policemen were killed by that one guy. Yeah, that's the one that seemed really weird to me. And like I try to keep it, based in facts, but there was just a lot of things that were just a little too convenient, But
I thought that was
you know
really
what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching it unfold, and I thought it was fairly straightforward.
Yeah, and it's like they blew up the guy. I don't know. That one seemed a little weird to me. But I mean, like, I'm one of those people that think like just because
he was military
the
trained,
facts don't add up,
complex.
it's like it doesn't mean that these people weren't real. Like they didn't really die. Like I really think that that actually happened. It's just I think maybe the government might have had a little hand in that.
So, Bond, what were you saying about
that was really straightforward. It was after a lot of police shootings, and it was apparently a guy that was like a black guy who was in the army. And I don't know. It seemed everything. I didn't see anything weird about it. I mean, I knew what happened at the end, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know what really the issue is there.
Yeah, I'm just like super, suspicious of government. So I try to keep that in check. It's just like, it's probably legit, but then like the other part of my brain is like, well, it could be this. The Alex Jones part starts kicking in.
Did our friend from Norway join us again, or am I?
That's right.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, man.
Hello, everyone.
He's gonna be a regular. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Just like Ben.
That'd be great.
A little bit.
What were you saying about Sandy Hook, though? Because I mean, what I was referring to is that I guess there are people that think that it didn't actually happen.
Or that it was a psyop?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kelley, you were mentioning something that made me think about. You're talking about Trump, and it was something to do with the Republicans and Trump, and it made me think that one thing that we could like take note of is that we're actually ahead of the Republicans quite a bit. I mean, I don't know if we're the Democrats. I mean, you guys all say we're definitely not. I still think that we come from being Democrats, so it's like people who leave the Amish community, they're still like Mennonites, and the people who leave like even church, like if you're no longer really Christian, you maybe sympathize, or it's I don't know, different things like. But I think that we're ahead of them because like we realized, to my own horn. I kind of realized all along, and even before Obama was elected, I was like, if he does half the things he says he's going to do, he'll be the best president of all history. And so I called that like, but let's just say we realized that Obama was like not the real deal, and the Republicans still have to realize that about Trump. So like, that might be 4 years or 8 years coming down the road, and we're already here. So as bad as it is for us, we're ahead of them, and it's funny to watch them like all like really proud and like I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it. They're just very hyped up on the Trump. A lot of them, maybe some of them that's waned for some of them, but a lot of people they're really that same old Republican constituency.
Can you do smoke rings?
Yep.
My great-grandfather in Canada used to smoke a pipe. Just vaguely remember it, but just don't see that very much anymore.
That's pretty cool. Great job, Dominic.
Yeah. My talent.
I could juggle if you got this one.
We have no video, so on you. So anybody else? Anyone have a topic that?
Do you guys follow the Corbett report?
I don't follow it really. I used to watch it off and on, but it never stuck. Why?
I watched a bit of it recently, mostly because of Sane Progressive.
Okay.
She has recommended him now and then. And he had some interesting segments on 9/11, since we're on conspiracy theories.
Debbie is a big proponent of the 9/11. I look at it as the same way. I think there's more validity to it just because of the suppression of the investigation, and that whoever's investigating it, the evidence that they're trying to seek to prove who did it and what and all this other stuff, it just kind of disappears. And then there's also some weird stuff that happens when they try to dig deeper. And I don't know, anything that seems fishy, I think there's fishiness to it. I mean, there's no reason not to let anyone know what exactly happened. It was the biggest attack on American soil, and people who are investigating, you're just not gonna give them the information that they're looking for. It just seems a little weird.
I think I said yesterday I like to stick with more things I can get my hands on a little better, and we can get some. So I don't have much to say about that, but I will say, Eric, South Park, wink wink.
Yeah. What was that again? I'm sorry.
South Park. It should be like one word. There's a South Park episode.
South Park about 9/11.
Yeah.
I mean, with me, here's my view on 9/11.
I like how you kind of brought it all the way around.
Okay. But like with me and 9/11, I don't know who's really behind it, who's truly behind it. I mean, they could have made like some crazy deal to let it happen, though. But that's my take on it. I mean, anything is fishy, but I believe it was planned, though. I believe it was planned out, but I don't know by who. But I believe it was planned out by somebody. It could be anybody.
wasn't there an official thorough commission about it? I mean, that was pretty big, and it was just kind of recently that came out, like a year and a half ago or 2 years. Maybe time's flying.
Yeah, but like there was like this one thing that Donald Trump said that he wants to find out, you know, who's behind 9/11. I mean, we could probably rally around Donald Trump.
The deal with Saudi Arabia, like.
I mean, if people really take his quotes like seriously, I mean, we can rally behind it and actually find out who really was behind 9/11. But that's my take.
Yeah,
Mike is blocking a lot of my laughter here.
I just can't go there with some of those things. I'm just a really big skeptic, so I have to see. I don't know.
And that's the thing. That's what's so great about it is if you're in the truther, I guess you could say, community that looks at conspiracy theories and trying to get enough information on it to see if it really is like a false flag or not, and you're just trying to find enough evidence, and then when the evidence you can't obtain it because there's something in the way, and everyone's trying to get at it and it's just suppressed, it just raises more questions. So
well,
it really does.
Well, today I sat and watched a few. I didn't know who George Webb and Jason
Goodman, yeah. There's so many Goodmans in the world now.
I know. I didn't know about them, and I'm like, are they considered right wing or who? You know, I had no idea, but I just started watching, and you know, I saw one clip where they were talking to Jared Beck over the phone, which was very interesting. That was where they were talking about Sean Lucas and the autopsy report. So I don't know. I'm a huge skeptic, but there are certain things that, I think when Seth Rich, when that happened, and then when Sean Lucas, I heard that the day it happened, I was like, there's something to that. I mean, my alarm bells went off, and I'm a huge, like I said, I just don't usually pay attention to that stuff, or I just don't easily believe things like that. But with those cases, I'm just like, yeah, that's really fishy. So I just hope the truth comes out about it.
Rob from Bob TV says George Webb is a Bernie supporter.
Oh, okay. Well, they seem to be doing a great job. I mean, they're on like stakeout in the car, and they've got like day 218. And I'm like, boy, I'm going to be at this for a while watching all these.
So here's my question. I mean, like, we know the Democrats aren't going to do anything, but what are the Bernie-crats going to do? I mean, like, all these guys, like, I love Nick Brenna, and there's a couple of them that are really great associated with Bernie. What are they going to do? Like, I mean, we know Nick Brenna is trying something, but like, is there any concerted?
Well, it seems like aside from Nick Brenna trying to get Bernie Sanders to join and make his own party, I think the rest of it is just trying to be something similar to Justice Democrats, somehow to take back the Democratic Party. Hey, Yolis.
Hey, Mr. Drift.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, don't you think though? I mean, if this story actually comes out, like if Kim.com actually has evidence, if this story breaks, I mean, this is going to be like bigger than Watergate, right? I mean, this is huge. There's no way. I mean, it's all just going to crumble, right?
Let me redeem myself from yesterday. I'm sorry. So sorry to interrupt. You go ahead. I didn't mean to
No. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say yesterday you guys were talking about the Seth Rich thing a lot, and I didn't really have much to offer. But I just wanted to say though, if I think that if some truth would come out about that he did those WikiLeaks, for one thing, it would undermine the Russian narrative, which would be nice. And then for another thing, we would know that he was a hero, and we could call him a hero. So I don't know. I felt like I was remiss to not mention that.
I don't know why Julian Assange's don't come out and you know, Seth Rich is dead. I mean, this would blow that whole thing wide open, you know, to show how corrupt everything is and how easy it is to cover something up with the mainstream media. This would just undermine their credibility immensely if he would just come out and say, you know what, we don't reveal the sources, but in this case here, you know, since you killed our source, we're going to reveal how corrupt you are.
Should that maybe in a bigger point, should journalists or I guess publishers, reveal identity of sources when they die? Should that just be automatic, or just keep that source secret?
I guess.
There's no reason for it. I don't see why they would, but in this case here, I mean, it's such a big issue. You know, like Kelley said, this is like as big as Watergate as far as the cover up that's going on, and especially with him being murdered. Oh my God.
I think unless it like put immediate family in danger or something, then there's no reason to keep it hidden. And actually, I feel like Julian Assange has come out and said as much as he can say. Real, I mean, he went out. You know, my husband even was like, kind of thought less of him for sort of basically revealing it without saying it. He's like, they're not supposed to do that, and I'm like, but he's dead, so he seemed very well first bothered by it, and because he died, I think he wanted to say. I mean, he all but said it, and I don't know if anybody has watched that video, the Dutch interview, and I've shown it to several people, and they're like, oh, I think it's just the delay in the video, but there's a spot. Do you know the interview I'm talking about where he says, the Dutch interviewer says, oh, that was just a robbery?
Oh yeah.
And he says, no. And then he says, there are no findings.
Yeah.
And then he says, what are you saying? And there's this part, and you see him, and he goes, is Seth Rich, is he your source or something like that? And he looks straight in the camera, and he goes like that.
Oh.
And then he keeps going. But, maybe it is a delay. Like,
I have that snippet in one of my videos, which my Google Plus account has been suspended, probably because I did a video of Seth Rich.
Oh, wow.
Ario, hi.
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 Oh, hello.
Well,
Sorry, I'm
Did you see this news story about 2 tribal citizens that were run over?
Was this in North Dakota?
I didn't catch where it was. They were at a birthday party. And it was this white guy in a white truck that was yelling some racial slurs and ran him over purposefully. And one of them died, the other one's in the hospital. Oh my gosh! I'm sorry. I just saw this, and it's just like, wow, this is crazy.
Well, what I noticed.
This is what we call America for us colored folk.
What I noticed with the Seth Rich story, I think it was yesterday or today, but Debbie Wasserman Schultz, she said she didn't know who Seth Rich was, even though after his death,
yeah, that's
yeah,
the Hillary Clinton of Florida.
Yeah,
I think Hillary. I don't know. When I watch Hillary, I think it's obvious, like her mannerisms stuff when she's lying, when she's being really dishonest. Like the moment that I became Never Hillary was like October, the year, like the beginning of all. It was when she accused him of Bernie of sexism. But she's like, it's just the way she holds her head and the way she speaks and her manner. It's like, to me, it's like just blatant lying. I can always.
She's a liar and cannot.
Well,
be
yeah, she does it all the time. But when she's really performing, like, I don't know, it's a certain. And when she talked about Seth Rich, when Bernie endorsed her, it made me just cringe because I got the same feeling. Like, I don't know. Like HA said, nobody's saying she killed him. Who knows how many layers deep it is and who's really responsible, but I don't know. Anyway, we're not supposed to talk about it though because the who is it? Brad Bowman, the family spokesperson.
Cease and desist.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like Julian Assange has already pretty much said that Seth Rich is his source, so I think the only step he can take now is to provide proof, and
right.
That's a big step.
But the way I was explained this, and it was done, and I heard this from a call-in to Benjamin Dixon's program when this story first broke out. Basically, the primary reason why Assange might be reluctant to release his Seth Rich's information, if he is indeed the the source, even though it would be posthumously, is because there are other clients that he has to assure their security. Because once you let one person's name out, you open the treasure trove for thousands of others to be opened up to the public as well. And considering what we had just within the Obama administration alone, we had Chelsea Manning. As soon as she was caught, she was basically sentenced to near indefinite imprisonment until Barack Obama realized, oh, hey, my presidency's done. I should probably let you go now.
Yeah.
But I mean,
that could happen. And that, I mean, to think of it, I mean, Chelsea Manning got off light. This may sound really vestigious to say, but she kind of got off lightly considering the powers that she was playing with.
Speaking of whistleblowers, I mentioned that I would say in the scenario that the lawsuit turned out to find the DNC guilty, or even more would find out or link between Seth Rich, that who like a hero, and I just was going to mention, I almost mentioned it yesterday for some reason, right. That I actually whenever whenever the Snowden leaked the information, I was really happy about learning about that. I thought that we deserved to know sort of about that in some sense, and a lot of people did. I actually went on the Obama website, or something I was totally apolitical, not politically active even at all. Really, I just heard about that, and I was I went on the website and signed a petition, or started my own petition that said, pardon Snowden. Pardon Snowden and build the man a freaking statue. That was the title of my petition. Nobody signed it except for me, but and I was over in China, learning Chinese, been to China twice, and kind of telling my Chinese friends all along, America, we got a good justice system, we got this good model, it allows for freedom of speech, it allows for people like John Stewart to do their thing and speak up to power, and look at all these great intellectuals, and we have this thing. It's very vibrant. It keeps us fresh and healthy and a little bit honest. Our infrastructure, our good journalism, free press. And it's I was talking about all those things and just thinking almost part of the State Department's agenda, even just being let's do this. And then all of a sudden, as soon as I swear, as soon as the WikiLeaks came out, and because the Snowden thing wasn't the thing, but it was as soon as the WikiLeaks thing came out and revealed the Democratic Party and what was going on, I was oh man, this is this is terrible. I can't. I mean, not because I enjoy telling other my Chinese friends or whoever that our country is has some good things, and I still believe in it, but it's just I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to I always had said that basically we have to fix our democracy. It's a cliche talking point, but it's very true. We should have a good, strong democracy before we try to spread it everywhere. And so it's kind of like that. And how are we going to be vibrant and strong and have vitality if we're not being honest at all? And if there's all this duplicity and dubiousness going on
well, if you were to listen to the Democratic Party, the answer is Russia. The second answer is Russia, and the third answer is Russia.
This day and age, I'm not telling anybody anything. I'm just worried about our own democracy and having our own freedom of speech and having our own healthy system back again. We lost all those power players, all this liberal. That was it's such a tragedy through and through. In some way, maybe it's opportunity, but we got actually limited time. In 2 years' time, the political message of the day and platform of the day, so-called, is going to be all formulated and put in a package, and then we'll have nothing to do but to banter about it on its terms. Just whenever Hillary got busted and she said, "Okay, Wasserman is my honorary whoever." By doing that, she defines the whole conversation. For they get to do these one little moves, make these moves to cover their own backs, and then we have to just endlessly, tediously discuss the technicalities of that and go nowhere. And we're fighting a losing battle. We're never going to win because we always talk on their terms, and that's the whole media's job. That's what they get paid for, all that money. And Tim Black isn't down necessarily to play ball like that, and so that's why he's not trampling you up in any seditious way whatsoever.
Well, yeah. But I mean, I'm of the opinion that they've already established a game plan. That's nowadays, it's the timeline by which you establish your platform is just it's gone exponentially accelerated the past decade. and now the Democrats.
We were poised a year ago. We were so poised, like the liberals and everything, with all the great liberal intellectuals. It was like it all just like fell out.
Everyone went out to lunch.
Cracked our fingers, yeah.
Like everyone except the radical voices went out to lunch for like 8 years.
So that brings me to I was wondering, like we have Dr. Cornel West, we have Noam Chomsky. Who's gonna be stepping up and taking over their places?
Because Noam Chomsky is at the point where we may not have him for the next election cycle. He may very well be dead. He's at the age where even if the CIA was to break into his house, it wouldn't matter at this point.
Yeah. So who's next? Who do any of you guys consider as the next? I don't know what you call it.
I don't think you can have somebody who can necessarily fill the same shoes. I do think that you can find people of similar influence and value to the movement who offer something else and something different. Yeah, Chris Hedges is a good one. Glenn Greenwald on the journalist front would be among others.
Is he still not mentioning the DNC lawsuit?
Is Chris Hedges not Glenn Greenwald?
Glenn Greenwald. Mm-hmm.
But Glenn Greenwald is I always thought was more interested in the deep state in the actions and motivations of the deep state, and so to him, like the conversation of the DNC is kind of a moot point unless you can demonstrate a definitive link. And plus, he's not kind of one to just follow where there isn't any hard proof that he can go for. So.
Well, right, but just not covering that it was even happening at all. So Jared Beck, kind of gave him a hard time on Twitter, and I guess it created kind of a stink. I don't catch the whole thing, but
I guess that's true. I can't speak necessarily for Glenn Greenwald. Wow, that's a surprising tongue. No, I can't, because I'm not. I don't. For one, I don't work for him, and two, I don't know him on a personal basis, so I have no real means to really speak for him on his behalf. I would
proof with airless drift.
No, but it's all this to say that I think that he can be a useful source, at least in delivering some of the broader critiques we have with the current system. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say that he should be your sole source, though.
I was turned on to that. What is Johnstone? In the article,
Caitlin Johnstone. Yes,
I very much like that article. It was really well written, so professional, so classy. It was an amazing article.
Oh,
I like her writing too.
I love her writing.
But this chat thing that I'm in sometimes, people were like really unhappy with whatever article she wrote, where I guess they felt like she was buddying up with Cernovich. So where Tim.
Oh, fucking Cernovich.
Yeah, that what we should read. Try to find common ground with some people, but there's
Cernovich.
Progressives that just like any association with anybody that's considered right wing at all. Oh, this is part of my argument in that chat. I said, look, just because they're saying it doesn't make it not true. Like, yeah, it's inconvenient, or it's not great that it's on the Alex Jones channel, but that doesn't make it not true. Like there was
it doesn't necessarily make it not true, but really, if they should be the last people that you should be forced to have to resort to as a resource to confirm your own worldview. That's my position. That would be my position. It's like, yeah, if you have other cooperating people, by all means, adding their testimony as a way to say, yeah, even a crazy person understands this to be understands this to be reality. But if you're trying to use them as like just ad hoc, see, See, somebody believes me. Then that's not really a useful way to enter the discourse either. That would be my position on people like Cernovich, and I still have a lot of beef with him from 2 years ago with the whole Gamergate fiasco.
What happened?
Leave us some facts on him. I don't know. Sorry.
Long story short, some asshole decided to release a hit job piece on his ex-girlfriend, basically accusing her of sleeping with games journalists in order to get positive reviews for her indie project. And then the
Gamergate, yeah.
Yeah,
Gamergate.
And then it just descended into a giant anti-feminist witch hunt.
Ooh. It's like with me, like the whole thing with, Gamergate and Anita Sarkeesian.
Yeah.
My girlfriend completely disagrees with Anita Sarkeesian as well as I do.
Yeah.
And plus, if there was a male version of Anita Sarkeesian spewing the same stuff, I would completely 100% disagree with him as well.
Right. But, like, the problem is this is less than whether or not Anita Sarkeesian was right or wrong about what she was saying. Is the fact that the cacophony it descended into is I thought what was the bigger takeaway from it, because what ended up happening was it became a giant doxing fest. It became an excuse for figures in the alt-right to basically get a free points, say, hey, look at these dumb feminists, come join us and go fight them. And that's where Milo Yiannopoulos, funnily enough, rose to prominence in.
He's a troll.
Well, yeah, but that's where he got his big break with the alt-right, and where a lot of the alt-right got a small recruitment drive from. Now, obviously, that's had some positive and negative effects. I for one, I'm of the opinion Gamergate had helped to sort of set the stage for the Bernie Bros narrative, but that's a lesser.
Yeah. Pretty much anyone that I talk to about Max Cernovich, they always seem to say that he's got some type of hidden agenda in the works.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember exactly what school of thought he belonged to, but I believe that he was either in the sort of the men going their own way crowd or straight MRAs.
So are there any, right wing or whatever, alt-right, like people that anyone thinks are even, I don't know, marginally
credible?
That's a great question. Tim needs to know that because that's very relevant.
I guess Ron Paul on occasion tends to be pretty decent. He's
not
a
alt-right, though.
Huh?
He's not
alt-right. He's not alt-right, but he's one of the few on the sort of the libertarian right that I would generally say, yeah, he actually believes what he says. I don't have the conviction that he's just sprouting bullshit just for the sake of getting clickbait.
Actually, there is one guy that I follow. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have any for sure that you can put forward?
Would Sargon of Akkad? No, technically Sargon of Akkad doesn't identify as alt-right, so that wouldn't really count.
Oh, excuse me. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I guess, like, the thing is that I know some plenty of people on YouTube who would probably be identified as alt-right friendly, but none that would outright identify as alt-right.
Is that somebody that would be?
Huh?
That Paul Joseph Watson guy?
Oh.
Yes.
He'd be a candidate. I'm just saying he might be like somebody tolerable to listen to if we had to pick.
If you're willing to deal with the smarm, then sure. He might be. Just prepare to be called basement dweller a lot.
Wow. Okay. So Dominic, what did you do for work, or what's your background? You're being quiet.
Listen, I drove trucks 35 years, and then I retired from that. right now I work for the state, PennDOT. I'm a hearing examiner. I'm getting to retire though. Next month, my last month, I'm going to retire.
Oh,
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you.
good. Have to put you hosting or something. So
I've been around. I was in Vietnam.
were you?
Trucks, yeah. So I had a driving truck was really a good experience because it gave you a lot of time to think, and really start looking at what you were told all them years and start forming your own thoughts. And that's where I really started to pull away from a lot of the things. Like when we grew up, it was patriotic, like Vietnam. And I'm sure that the kids going to the wars in the Middle East are the same way. We felt like we were doing something so patriotic and helping the country and helping those people. And then you find out when you come back a couple of years later, we killed a lot of people who never did anything to us. And it was for nothing. It was for some power play by some politician who wanted to gain influence in that part of the country. And it's just... it really turned me, to where I don't trust the government at all. There's nothing that the government does. It's for the working people.
No. So are you an independent or what? How do you?
Well, I'm still registered as a Democrat. Like I'm on the school board here in Easton, and I ran as a Democrat. But I don't really identify with the Democratic Party anymore. This last election when I did it, but in Pennsylvania you have to be registered with a party to be able to even vote in the primaries.
Right.
Democrats. Otherwise I would be independent.
Right.
So I was gonna say Anthony Brian Logan is another guy because I just like call-in shows. Is Benjamin Dixon conservative? I just would like to brainstorm that and compile something.
He is pretty staunchly progressive, but he's more in the realist camp. So he's kind of lesser of two evils if you have to. Elsewise, do what you need to resist the system.
No.
But he's kind of a
job, like giving us suggestions or me suggestions that are like more helpful. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe they're not helpful. Like we were talking about, or Tim was talking about isn't it suspicious sometimes? But then again, like I try to stick with without like, being paranoid and like making wild guesses. Like who knows? Like so it's. But that Anthony Brian Logan dude, he does a like long call-in show, and he's a very staunch conservative, for sure, and he has like all hardcore conservative callers. So that would be it's a name.
So someone who I follow is Kurt Nemo. I think that's how you say his name. He used to be I think an editor for Alex Jones's show, and then he got fired by Alex Jones, and he doesn't like Trump. He doesn't believe Trump is going to end the war and all this other stuff. When I actually read about what his stances are, I like his stuff, and I guess you could consider him all right if that's how you want to label him.
Is that Nemo? Nemo?
Nimmo.
Okay.
Yeah, he kind of does some writing on a blog. Another Day in the Empire, and right now I think he's just kind of working for Newsbud. I don't know what that is, but it says a site run by the conspiratorially minded whistleblower Sybil Edmonds. Anyways, I follow him on Twitter. It seems like I like his stuff. He's probably the only one that I would consider, I guess, alt-right that
That Stephen X Hammer guy.
Six and Hammer 666.
Oh, I wanted
he's
to
a libertarian.
To something
Kinda.
we were talking about Chelsea Manning. I wondered how many other people, like, I only saw that footage, the Apache, the big story that was what Chelsea Manning handed over, where the journalists are shot from the helicopter. I only saw that like within the last year. And I just like, I was so shocked when I watched that. And then as I dug, more and more, I read that, the reason, the media basically said, this is too shocking. We need to protect the public from this. So most people never saw it. Didn't know. I was just wondering, like, has everyone here seen that footage?
I saw it.
I have not seen that. Kelley.
Is it the one where they double tap?
It's the one where they're in the helicopter and they're circling and they shoot the journalists.
Oh.
Yeah, and then respondents come and they shoot those two, or?
Yeah, and then there's a van and there are kids in this van, and you can clearly see from the helicopter that there are children in this van, and they shoot.
I didn't see that part.
Like our army people or our military people. But you watch that and you're just like, how in the hell was this just kept quiet? Like, how can anyone also say that?
Or was it kept quiet on the mainstream? Like, I hate using the mainstream media term, but pop culture media. It was everywhere. Like the big guys media. Like, that's where you don't see that ever. Like, I don't know. Maybe it was reported somewhere. Maybe I should look into it.
I just found it really weird because I guess I'm not I wasn't as in tune as some people, but I consider myself pretty informed, and I hadn't seen it, it's within the last year that I watched it. But it was an interview with Julian Assange, and then they kind of cut to that footage, and he's talking about like why it was kept out of the American public eye was basically to protect the American public because it's too shocking and upsetting. But really, you think about it,
we are desensitized, though. We're desensitized to the casualty numbers over there and stuff.
But seeing that, I think if that had been seen by more people, the whole attitude towards Chelsea Manning,
been a top news story running on primetime network television. Yeah.
It was it's disturbing to watch, and it's black and white.
It's worthy of that.
Things like that also have a lot to do with the way it gets spun. It's like you could show that to people, but if you put it in the right or quote unquote right context, it's a lot easier for people to digest. All you've got to do is make up a story about how, these people were really, they had it coming, or they needed to be, or they were a problem. And that's sort of the narrative, to get people to think a certain way about what they're seeing. And again, like we talked about a few days ago, it comes down to that whole control of the blame, who's to blame, and it's also that attention deficit that they really count on people having, is that they'll see it and quickly they'll forget about it because there'll be another new atrocity to move very quickly on to the next day. So what you saw the day before will go away real quick because it's almost like they want to wipe your memory and put something else in there and have you forget about it.
I think the Trump campaign promise Trump campaign policies of like basically letting the Middle East be more dealing with its own issues over in us being not involved as much. That was really appealing broadly for sort of a reason, because just like I don't want to comment on what Chinese people should do or what women should do or feel. Like I don't really know that we should say what that they should do over there. So it's a similar sort of principle, and it's just appealing just naturally. But then it's really complicated because the funding Saudi Arabia is maybe not be the solution. Making like a escalation of arms race with their little micro one. It
reminds me of that quote from Churchill when he was talking about the Irish, and he said, "We've always found the Irish a bit strange because they refuse to be English." And Churchill did a lot of great things, but he was also very xenophobic in a lot of ways. And so, it demonstrates this sort of like, why aren't you thinking like us? And I think America is very guilty of that. We want everyone like us.
But I don't want to be desensitized. It's not that I don't want to be desensitized, but I don't want the body count to be like that. Right? None of us do, right? So but we are desensitized, and it keeps going on. Sucks.
All right.
I'll be right back.
Like when you go into service, like they actually brainwash you to desensitize the people even more. Like it's hard to believe that those guys in those helicopters could do something like that to people who weren't doing anything to them, but they don't see them really as people. Like, and you really in a war situation, you really can't, because you have too much empathy for the other side. But
what's so unintelligent about that in hindsight, in retrospect, which is all 2020 and whatever. What's so insane about that is that does, even without even without Chelsea Manning leaking that, like, just by the act itself, it does increase the amount of terrorism. So if those guys are worried about, ultimately out of like fear, self-security, that you want to go and kill, it's ironic, because by killing innocent people you actually make yourself in more danger. So that's counterproductive, right? Killing the wrong people or too easily. It's just like it's similar to the police situation here, where in America, where something needs to change slightly about how it's done, and or not so slightly. Needs to be a change in that, so we have less civilians and drones, and less in all of that.
Well, I think the problem, the police now, instead of de-escalating, they tend to escalate the situation. When we were younger, the cops used to come and talk to us. It was a whole different relationship. You didn't see them as an enemy. They'd come, we'd hang out in the corners and stuff, and they'd come around. They probably get more information just by being friendly and talking to people than they do by this intimidation techniques that they use.
I think most communities are actually like that. My town or my city, it's the cops are really good, and it's just basically based on the community, I think.
Yeah, maybe we should focus on the police forces getting more tax revenue, so they can do more training and things like that. Maybe it's
what's up with that here in Norway?
Police, like they were talking about. I'm sorry, friend from. Sorry, I need to learn your name as well. But they have less police in Detroit. Takes 50 minutes. I remember hearing. Oh, another thing I was going to say. Please note this though. That I wish that Vice News could have done a thing on that helicopter. That would have been, because that they can keep it pretty.
Well,
I think they
Vice
did.
News is
I think they were one of the first to talk about that.
Many consider Vice News as being sellouts in the independent media world. One of the first.
They bring a lot of objective information.
I think
they have a history. Vice Meets was an amazing program. Vice Presents, amazing interviews with authors. They've done a lot. Really great reporting that people would have been in the things that we never would have come across our radar screen, that we've never been aware of whatsoever. Weird journalism that you just don't see when you tune into it belonged on HBO because it was more thorough.
I've heard from my friends here in Norway that in the US, you go to the police academy for 6 or 8 weeks and you're done. But here in Norway, you have a 3-year education and you need really good grades to get in. Tiny difference.
We do that with our vets here, our veterinarians, to make sure our veterinarians are properly educated.
Sorry, I'm reading in chat. They're just talking about jugs. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, HA released his latest article in Counterpropa, just to let everyone know.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet.
What's this one on?
George Webb,
Jason Goodman, Jared Beck.
Jared Beck.
Friend from Norway. So there's not much violence there or problems, or your police are impeccable there?
I think the last 100 years we lost was it 5 police officers or something? I don't know.
Whoa.
No, or maybe it was since the Second World War. I don't know. Anyway, we barely have any.
It's protect our boys in blue. Maybe they should take some cues from you all. You know what I mean? Because we could deal with that. We could do with that.
But
yeah.
Are guns legal? Are guns legal there? Are firearms slowly banned in UK?
No. Well, guns are legal, but you need a permit, like in the US. But most people don't have guns here. You need to take a test as well, I think, to get one. And police officers are not allowed to wield guns, and we don't have tasers. They do have guns in their vehicles, and then they need to get there has to be an emergency for them to to be able to take them with them out of the car.
Do the police shootings make the regular news over there?
Oh, anything makes the news here.
We're still talking about drugs on the chat. Yeah. Okay.
This is
Well, a minute ago, I saw people were talking about George Webb, like asking, I guess, what we thought of George Webb, but I'm just figuring out who they are, so I don't have that.
The videos are very short, so you don't have to. I mean, they get pretty shorter, and they kind of recap a lot. So if you haven't been following them, they'll just kind of every once in a while have a recap. But it's very dramatic because you're waiting for the next little snippet of upload, and people get worried because if they don't do a video in like 12 hours, they're like, are they dead? What happened to them?
Right? Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. I asked what the Bernie Pratt vision was and plan was, and of course, like, you know, for really like revitalizing, restructuring the Democrat, you know, getting things, or making a new party or whatever it is, whatever vision and plan. But I also wonder, like, it seems like Jill Stein has kind of faded out of the press and headlines and news. So, you know, I feel like that it's on her. If she, I mean, come on, right? Like, if you're gonna have a formidable party, so like the first guy that I think donated tonight, the $10 was like, you know, go green or whatever, which Tim is already preaching to that. You preaching to like the preacher. And so, but I don't know. That's my 2 cents. I've never been really super, you know, Green Party. I don't think that a party with such radical views could ever really left people off their feet and off their butts.
Really? The Green Party is radical. Green Party is like milk toast for European most European liberal democracies.
Yeah, it just gets labeled radical. Like Jill Stein's an anti-vaxxer, which she's not. You know.
No, she's not.
Tim touched on that, and when I can't remember what interview that was recently.
I had a really cool discussion. He said the word radical with my boyfriend, and we were talking about this album that I love. It's a Belgian French-speaking artist, Stromae, and he has an album called Racine Carrée, which means square root in French. And so on the front of the album, it has the radical, you know, from mathematics. And we were talking about, he said, you know, what the word radical means is really to get to the root of, because when you see the radical symbol, it means to take the square root. And so it's funny to think about that word, because the real word radical actually doesn't mean crazy or wild or outlandish or anything. It just means that you want to get to the root of things.
Right. That's
peel away all the excess and all the crappy layers, and you want to get right to the truth, to the heart and center. So I think that's pretty interesting. It just made me think of it when you said the word radical.
No. I mean, that's when I define myself as a radical. That's usually what I mean. I'm not. I don't consider myself crazy. I consider myself eccentric, but I don't consider myself crazy.
I'm eccentric too.
Eric, we know you.
Triggered. Ooh, I'm so triggered.
No,
I like doing that. I just put that right on the spot.
For me.
Triggered.
No, but seriously, for me, when I define myself as a radical, what I always say is that I'm not interested in just looking at it through Band-Aid solutions. I'm actually interested in getting rid of this problem. And if you're and cutting it off at the head, it's kind of, I look at radical politics in the and its relation to the Democratic Party as the Democratic Party trying to treat a bacterial infection with Tamiflu.
There's a caller tonight who called
you might treat the symptoms by giving yourself Tylenol, Tamiflu.
But one thing I agree with her was in the very beginning. What did she say? No, it slipped my mind.
Evan, Rob is asking where Evan went. Probably to help with the baby. He vanished, didn't he?
And then Ebon.
I don't know. He said, I said, how do you say it? Ebon?
The lady that caller said, well, you know, Bernie basically didn't, I'm over him. Like, she was like, I'm over him. It's not an issue. So like I thought that was really cool, and her reason for that was that, you know, he didn't really want to win anyway. And like I can just like, I'm the kind of person always looking for explanations. I'm always trying to put an explanation to things. So you know, I can live with just thinking that way. And but the rest of her call, I don't know. But I just remember liking that. And geez, my mind keeps like hiccuping on this. But no. So yeah, I'll get around to it. I'm sorry about that.
I tell you, Bernie kind of disappointed. You know, he jumped ship. He's supporting her narrative. He's not talking about the lawsuit. Like he just, you know, him and Elizabeth Warren. You know, they're like the token Democrats. You know, they can say whatever they want. They know nothing's going to happen because they're so outnumbered. And Bernie lost a lot of credibility with me when he started, you know, supporting that Russian thing. I'll tell you what I see. The person I see that could really rejuvenate the party would be Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, I agree. Big time.
Before we talk about that, let me just say really fast because I will actually like, but Bernie made a concession speech before WikiLeaks came out, and then he made one after, and they were like identical. They're like verbatim. His tone, his expression, and so I think that I have two things to say. Especially the second thing is especially to Aola's drift. But that Bernie was maybe just like one of those candidates, like a Ralph Nader candidate who had points he wanted to make, like a Dennis Kucinich or a Al Sharpton candidate who just had points that they wanted to get it relayed to people. So as far as that role is concerned, Jill Stein's doing fabulous. But in terms of actually winning, you have to like kind of go slow. You have to kind of like ease people into a progressive future. You can't just be like, oh, here's our goals, we're gonna do. And I mean, the Green New Deal is fantastic, and everything Jill Stein said, just like everything Bernie says, wonderful. I agree. I think that's our future, and I think that's a tangible future. I mean, it's the policies, the ideas are out there for us. We all kind of around it. It's wonderful. It may happen yet, but like it doesn't seem like it's anywhere in sight. And
that could change very quickly when you think about the fact that 80% of millennials were in favor of Bernie and his ideals.
Yep.
Because that's the future. Let's face it. I mean, that's what's coming. Is and it's, you know, that to me is one of the pros of people that are very connected to the internet. Sure, there's a lot of negatives to it as well, but one of the good things is that, you know, these young people are talking to other people in other countries more often. They're less isolated. And so they're going, well, hey, those people in Australia have National Health Service. Why don't we? It's not bankrupting them. What's going on? So it's a very different dialogue. And yeah, I mean, these are the people that's their values. 80% are saying we're tired of being saddled with the college debt and then having to worry about
Colorado is legalizing marijuana, and that all these other states are legalizing marijuana. Is they're not just saying, "Hey, go smoke marijuana in front of a child and her mom walking down the street's face and everywhere you want," and blatantly. They're like, "No, out of public sight." And so it has to happen slowly. Like there are places where voting on like allowing a certain quarter of town where the bars are to like have outside or park consumption. So like these things will happen very slowly as people get used to it. Otherwise, the conservative elements will complain and reject it. So we have to like move like the way the gas prices rose. Yeah, there was some like right when the Iraq War happened, like gas prices went up like $2 or $1.80, like they were there, and there was jumps, but like mostly the way the gas prices went up over those 10 years was like up and then down a little, up and then down a little.
I better believe those gas prices.
They would have went straight to $4. What
reactions from the public?
But you're equating social change with market forces, and
well, I mean, maybe it's a loose relationship, but I'm just, you know, it's a loose connection. But there is something to associate there. Like it was gradually that we can accept something changing. Like yeah, it was weird. Like when the Iraq War happened, the oil prices went up. Like that was the main signal for it. And then when that Saudi king devalued it or whatever, opened up the reserves, that was if you remember, I remember gas prices. It was actually those were the moments. But in between that, it was like these gradualness, this gradual little kind of creep up and down a little, then creep up, and that was just the way it worked. And
that's just the instability of the market. Here's my problem is that you can't really equate so the tides of social change to market forces, because ultimately to gradual changes in the market.
Similar to all progress, and it's got to happen slowly, and what people can tolerate.
Not necessarily.
From extreme liberal point of view, it's not going to pass. It's not going to get the majority vote. It's not going to win. We're not going to have the president.
But you don't. Yeah, but you don't win it by.
But he's not.
here's the thing. You're talking as if we're trying to win right now. I'm talking if you want to win eventually.
Get our stuff together right now. I've been saying that, like, that's all I've been saying is that people got to get their stuff together. We got to actually have a plan. I want super delegates gone. I like some forces to be made against gerrymandering, out of state money. Like, what is it? Do away with the fine goal. I don't know. Get the money out of like it's. And everything is just like Cornel West maybe said it's redundant, or some other civil rights leader or somebody's figure said that it's everything is redundant, and that and like we're just desensitized and numb to it, and we're numb to talking about it. But like just like healthcare was discussed for 6 freaking years in gridlock, but it's the most important issue. And like it's one of the
I would argue that the most important issue is climate change, because if we don't have a planet to exist on, all these other debates we're having about the economy and our healthcare is going to be fucking moot, because we're all going to die of extinction.
I absolutely agree.
I would prefer
that planet. We're not going to have any of this dark here.
Stevie, what do you want to say on that?
Sorry for getting.
Stevie, now you seem like you're wanting to say something on that.
It's just something that I've been thinking about a lot lately is change, and how do we get change, and like you've got the one camp that's like we have to be pragmatic, and then you've got the other camp that is like the more ambitious, and that they're like here's all my goals, I want to do this, and this, and that's like both of them I kind of see like the value in it. But like, look at like in America, like we have a huge problem with obesity, especially like in my state, and like part of that is like you got to get people to make changes, and it's like people don't make changes if they can't actually visualize like the end result. So if like they don't think it's possible, or if they've never like seen it, it's just like, why should I do this thing today when I don't even know if it's going to work out, right? So it's just kind of like, I feel like we got to like make that picture clear of like, and I think that's why Bernie was so successful, because like you actually had a politician that said, okay, this is possible, we can do this. And he actually like had a plan for it. So I think like if we can get people to see the possibility of it,
we need broadly appealing policy without neoliberal corporate policy. Without it being their DNC, Hillary Clinton neoliberal corporate policy, we need like a solid, broadly appealing, like more liberal that can actually succeed policy and candidate and party.
Yeah, like I kind of see it because like if you go like extreme, like you'll get burnt out, and it's just like like a lot of people, like if you've seen like during the election, they watch. And they put, they went, calling for Bernie and door to door, and they put in all this work, and then their candidate didn't win, and then it's just like, oh well, it didn't work, so I give up, and it's just like, well, that's like you got to pace yourself, I guess it'd be different for everybody, and different depending on what your goals are.
Well,
we can't throw out the tradition and the experience. I mean, we can't. Sorry to say tradition. We can't throw out the experience of all these elected officials and all that. Like we can't. All their like it's just like court cases. There's all these precedents. There's all these past court cases. When you're familiar with that, it's very important. It's like we got to like work together.
Considering the quality of people that we have to work together with, I think I'd rather go shoot myself or get my testicles crushed under a combine harvester.
I think it's a broad brush statement.
I think what you're looking at is it's easy enough to find people that have standards. I mean, Bernie honestly had a very great platform, and there's a lot of people that you could stand up for that reflect your values. The trouble is, it's what they deal with once they get into office. It's really that, because once they get into office, a lot of those great ideas get corrupted, challenged, and beaten to death until there's nothing left of them. And the other thing that gets me is I think that actually it's funny, people hated George W. Bush, but in the end, I think Obama's presidency was far more dangerous because he had people believing that he was really going to change things. He really didn't change things. And so that really demoralized people. And what you're
presidency can do all kinds of stuff.
They hope that things will actually change. They
I
believe
think that was.
Well, yeah. What Barack Obama's presidency ended up doing was normalize the policies of George Bush, and much more than he promoted a culture of liberalism, but ultimately what his policies were was just a continuation of Bush with some liberal vanities attached to it.
Some things got worse under Obama. I mean, under Bush, they actually put some people away for, corruption in the banks, right? Some of them even died in prison. Under Obama, look what happened.
Eric?
I mean, like, I know that Obama here, okay, Obama's war on coal. Okay, that's like the perfect example. Like he kept saying, "Oh, I'm for the environment, and I'm for climate change is real." And then, he did all this stuff for fracking, which undermined the coal industry. But everybody thought that it was because he was an environmentalist that the coal industry went under. So they had all these people hating environmentalists. And the Green Party, and I'm just like, wait a second, that has nothing to do with it. He's not an environmentalist. I mean, he's like the fracking king.
He gave us something. He did some things, but they're not going to give us. They're like giving us as little as they have to. So I mean, he just they're giving us only what they have to, and basically, I guess if people were more concerted and like cohesive about certain principal points, and had a different memory, and if we had more people turning to a different media, then we would get one, maybe.
I think everyone here likes the Green Party's platform, but can't really see it going anywhere. I mean, look at the world. Is there a Green Party that has a majority of votes in any country? I don't think so.
Didn't in Austria the Green Party candidate win? I believe.
Maybe.
Where?
Austria.
Go Austria.
So my husband was working for Cisco previously, and Cisco had bought a company in Vienna, so he got to actually go there a couple times and wanted to move there. He loved it. But anyway, no, I think that they actually had I don't remember a name, but it was not that long ago. The Green Party candidate won.
I know Jill Stein has been doing a lot of town halls with various progressive spokesmen and politicians trying to develop a broader coalition in the past few months, but I haven't heard much else recently.
Yeah, I was just curious. I was wondering what she was up to, because it's just okay, we had the election, and then what happened? I don't think it's that she wasn't really doing anything. It's just where's the media cover? We still got to cover her if we want, if we have a hope of boosting the Green Party. I mean, I just found out we have a Green Party here, in West Virginia. They're called the Mountain Party, but I mean.
But there's
that's a thing. I didn't even know about that.
Is anybody aware of what happened with WikiLeaks in Greece? I think it's worth bringing up once. WikiLeaks exposed about Greece and their I think it was the IMF's or somebody. They were there was an email directly exposing them of having deliberately messed up Greece's economy.
We getting a lot of feedback and noise. James Young at Manitalk.
Oh, can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
This is cool. I've never seen this before. Thank you. So,
has anybody heard of that? I mean, has anybody heard of that at all? No.
No. Was it tweeted out?
What? It was before the WikiLeaks with the Clintons and the Clinton or whatever. It was a WikiLeaks that came out about there was some. I think it was the IMF that this guy was sending a message within the European somewhere. Look up yourself, and then but they were basically on purpose sort of sabotaging Greece's government because it was too left. It was too leftist, and they basically were deliberately prolonging the economic depression or whatever there. So after this came out, I mean, people were outraged, and it couldn't help but blow up to mainstream media. But then everybody forgot about it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You
It
know,
eventually caused
somehow it wasn't important enough to keep talking about, and now people don't acknowledge it. Now I hear people talking about news over there in Greece. I hear people on our mainstream networks saying, "Oh, Greece's economy. Look what happened when they elected liberals," and things that's just they it hasn't come across their radar. They haven't found out about or whatever. You know.
Right.
I just thought it's worth mentioning. It's not like a great topic for me. Like, I don't want to bring it up. It's just like it's kind of like just all that. You know, it's all pretty heavy stuff, but it's real deal.
But they're pressing like a third party coming in, kind of like what they're doing with the Green Party.
Literally keeping the economy down. From this one little communication, that's what it really seemed. I don't know everything about it. I just know that like it was like in the type of wording and the message was like unambiguous. So.
Okay.
James Young. So, do you want to introduce yourself? You haven't been on this before.
No, I've never been on here. This is really cool. I just don't have a video camera. You don't want to see me anyway. I'm an ugly son of a bitch.
No, don't worry. Can't be as ugly as me. So
you're actually kind of cute. So I guess
awesome.
The new topic now is.
What are you talking about? Jenny says we're the sexy revolutionaries, guys.
Yeah,
Hey.
I think I need to go to the seminar for that. Okay,
Right.
so I think the big topic right now is Seth Rich. Is everybody talking about Seth Rich, DNC
We
fraud?
have been.
Okay, so the biggest issue I have is.
Do you want to tell us who you're from or where you're from?
Oh yeah, I'm from Anaheim, California. I can watch the fireworks at Disneyland every night. It's kind of annoying, but it's kind of cool at the same time.
Okay.
But anyway,
Hey, there's always magic where you are.
That's true. It's kingdom everywhere. So right now, I guess the biggest thing that they have is Kim.com presenting to the world that I'm going to divulge all this information. And then you have Goodman and you have, of course, going on a rampage, which I think is good. And then you have others helping him do the same thing. But everybody seems to be jumping on the Seth Rich bandwagon, which I believe is great because it brings more attention to a botched robbery, which is still interesting to me. But when you have Kim.com out there who actually is conveying to the world that I actually have complete and total proof that Seth was talking to WikiLeaks, and then he wants to say that, and then he wants protection to go in front of Congress, even though he has a criminal, it's civil suit, I believe, in regards to some things that he did with his website, et cetera, et cetera. But here's the problem. Mueller is the guy that's going to be running a lot of the major activity for prosecuting or going against this case. Am I correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So here's Mueller is loved by both sides, the majority of both sides of the Republicans and the Democrats. So the thing is.
The deep state wins.
Yes, yeah, correct. I really don't see a touchdown or the Hail Mary working out with this unless it's, and I mentioned this to H.A. Goodman, I said, and I write on his YouTubes, I said, it's just got to be on Times Square. Kim.com's got to come out, just throw it at every news station, just all at once, announcing, providing the proof. I mean, concrete evidence as much as he has and links to do so, because I really don't see the deep state, and I really don't see the two-party oligarchy, or the TPO, I call them, doing anything to push or bring this to light. I really don't. It's almost you got to slap the world in the face with this proof, because I don't think they're really going to allow this guy to sit in front of Congress and do that.
Right. Well, it's like Tim said that, people America just double down on your lie. I mean, and that seems to be working. So yeah, if they can, I think that if it's good evidence, though, it'll leak out. There are enough people on both sides paying attention that it will. I mean, there's going to be a certain segment of the population that won't believe it and they'll just dismiss it. But I think as long as it's real information, there's no really hiding it.
True. That's
different era now. I mean,
is there any reason why Kim.com wouldn't just reveal it and not have to go through this entire process? I mean, the entire thing is about him talking to his lawyers, and why all this drama?
well, didn't he want something? He wants
Because Russia tied in with the Russia investigation. So it's like a strategic move and not really a.
Well, I'm partly convinced that the Trump
he's trying to be
administration.
safe about it.
Yeah, he wants protection. He doesn't want to turn into Assange,
Yeah, but I thought
He already is Assange, in a sense.
But protection from the U.S. government, the same U.S. government that's kind
It's not going to happen. Exactly.
Yeah, it just feels.
I didn't delve into his case. Like, I just sort of skimmed it. It was very long. But is he not asking for something in return? Like, not just protection for him traveling to come testify, but something else to do with his case? Was he not asking for any? I don't know.
A pardon of some sort.
It was something. I don't know. I just, like I said, I don't know
Yeah,
that.
that's what I thought when he. That's what I thought when he first came out. It's like, okay, you've got all this information. Maybe you're trying to get, make a deal with somebody. Maybe you want somebody to come and jump on your side and say, okay, we'll give you a pardon. We'll take care of it. You can expose this information. But I don't think he understands that when this is exposed, this not only destroys the DNC, but this nullifies WikiLeaks as being the source of information, and CNN, MSNBC, Fox, OAN, and everybody just turns into shit.
Mm-hmm. It would be a beautiful thing to see, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I just want to point at people I know and go, ha, 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 I told you.
I know. That's fully. I mean, wouldn't everybody like to see that happen or witness that happen, that finally everything blows up in their faces?
I think people would just
a really exciting, how like those drama soap opera shows kind of go one to the other, or like Last Man on Earth did that. A lot of shows it's like a suspense at the end of the episode. What if at the end of this 4 years Trump is doing really awful things, and then it's the DNC's regular old Joe Biden up there? What are we gonna do?
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I don't think it really mattered because, like I said, the TPO or the two-party oligarchy. I just keep calling them that, or it's one party posing as two. I think they all.
We got to put pressure on them so that they shape up or legitimately follow through with I guess beefing up the Green Party. I don't know.
No. You've got a good point. Because I think, and this is just a theory, I really believe that if you can go out and march on the street, you can go out and you can get your pitchforks out and go storm the lawns of the Hill and Congress and get pissed off and fireworks and banners and all kinds of crap, and possibly get thrown into some FEMA camps that they're currently building. option one. Or you could actually bring in a third party, a viable third party that's been a threat, and at least make them look in that direction. I'm not saying it's going to fix a lot of things, but I think it's a better option than grabbing a pitchfork and possibly being tossed in a FEMA camp. So
yeah, they'll either put you in a camp or they'll shoot you with a rubber bullet. I mean, that's been proven. Let's face it.
Well, I mean,
mixed feelings about No Dapple and all the protesters. I think I admire all of them that participate, and it's a great cause. And but I think that it was a coincidental timing, taking a lot of focus and a lot of people's passionate efforts, to just side rail, a discussion just before and after the election of just those dang indefensible WikiLeaks.
Well, here's the good thing about bringing in your pitchforks and storming the Hill or whatever you call it, is
the villagers are rioting.
Yeah, if they put people,
the villagers are coming.
If they put people in
FEMA
camps,
of production.
If they put people in FEMA camps, if they end up shooting them with rubber bullets, it'll be just like Standing Rock. And when the police start siding with the civilians and the protesters, when you got ex-military siding with it, that's what causes revolutions and changes.
Unfortunately, we also have to understand that if revolutions do turn violent, we are we on the left, right, are,
Well,
especially in the United States, are woefully unprepared for that kind of escalation of conflict.
Right.
Oh, fully.
What do you mean the escalation of conflict? I mean, the
Well,
violence
it's violent.
part would be
People get
against the
hurt.
protests, and then when you have a lot of officers that side with the civilian population, when you have ex-military that side with the population, you've got to understand the United States. I think 66%.
True, but
maybe 33% of Americans own guns.
We don't have the. See, that's why I don't really want to talk to it. Like, I have like family members that are Chinese and stuff, and I don't really want to get too much into that stuff. So
wait,
it's like
not even Chinese.
You don't talk politics in China. When you go to China,
Wait. Is this towards me about me being Chinese or something?
Oh no! What? No, I'm saying that I was starting to say some stuff about Chinese politics because I've been studying Chinese for 10 years, so I just know a lot about everything in there. Well, not everything, but I know a bit, and I could definitely say a lot, and draw some connections. But it's like that's one of the reasons, besides the waste of time, I feel like sometimes it is, and the stress, obviously, and sort of like negativity and depressing parts of points. But that's one reason I don't really want to engage in politics. Plus, I have other things to focus on, career interest wise. So, but that's really it's real stuff. I don't really want to start saying bad stuff and start talking about China a whole bunch, because then it could put my family potentially unable to travel as much. I don't know. I just know.
Right. That's
and we're not at that point yet. What I want to say simply is just that we're not at that point yet to where we have to worry about, we can't, the umbrella protests in Taiwan or Hong Kong, excuse me, they were shut down eventually, and there's pressures, but we don't have those pressures. We have it written in our constitution that we can protest and we can do these things. So let's protest. Let's do it.
To the extent that we can. I mean, the thing is that the as far as the state is concerned, so long as the courts don't aren't forced to come down on them, the Constitution is more or less a guideline than an actual set of rules for how to govern a society. And that's not necessarily to say that's because they're bad. That's not necessarily just because they're bad people. That's just the nature of power. You bend the rules as much as you can until somebody slaps your hand.
Law is precedent, so it's just a matter of changing the law and precedent.
Okay, I gotta spice things up because I'm getting sleepy. So I'm the conspiracy theorist in the room tonight. Which
that's me.
Normally not, but the one other case. Sorry, this is radical change of subject. I just wanted to add it.
Cool.
The one other case that really, and I remember when it happened, I didn't know half the stuff I know now, but I remember going, that's not right. The Michael Hastings crash. And then when the WikiLeaks stuff came out about the cars being able, being able to be remote controlled, because he was the one that exposed McChrystal. Do you guys all know who I'm talking about, right? The journalist?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Hastings. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. That's the other conspiracy theory that I actually think there's something to, or is highly likely there's something to. Just if you look at what he had said to people before that accident happened, like he was on to something else. So just another one. I think there's something to. I'll leave it at that. Anybody else? Anybody in the chat?
And throughout the history, if you go to Wikipedia, and simply type in list of whistleblowers, decades and decades of people. More recently,
very true.
There's tons of them. So there are more people with more information, and more people with deeper access, with more information, that are going ding in their head. This just doesn't seem right, and I think I need to blow the whistle. So what's happening to these people as soon as they're found? And I mean, obvious is obvious. They're getting snuffed.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just why do we have a case like that? That happened, and he exposed McChrystal. He brought down McChrystal. This was a big deal, and to have everybody just go, that was an interesting accident. I just don't understand. It shows you how much the media has really succeeded at the brainwashing, to have an entire population so scared of sounding like they have a tinfoil hat on that they don't dare say anything.
Oh, I think if
That's why I
you,
want to spread memes.
it's the ultimate function of Chomsky's propaganda model, and that's
Have you guys seen that little cartoon? It's the best cartoon. I've tweeted it a bunch of times. Sorry, it's the manufactured.
manufacturing consent.
But it's a little cartoon, and it's narrated by Amy Goodman. But they're like little eyeballs that sit there and watch the television.
Oh yeah,
And
That's good.
Yeah,
you've seen
that's
it?
brilliant.
yeah. It should be. Is that the one that's supposed to be based off of Chomsky's
Yes.
written essay? Yeah.
It's kind of trippy to watch. It's got all these arms that come. Yeah, I showed it to my daughter, and she was like, "Ah, I'm gonna have nightmares."
Kelley, I haven't seen it.
Oh, you
Yeah,
gotta
I've seen
find
that,
it. Just go on YouTube and look up Noam Chomsky manufactured consent. Maybe Amy Goodman because she narrates it.
There's like only like, you know, we can only get it so good in terms of like no corruption or whatever, and like people will tolerate a lot, and then when the lines cross, sometimes the whatever PR infrastructure media, I don't know, it's getting more and more sophisticated as we speak. It just like likes to just pretend like the line hasn't been crossed and just like not necessarily move the line, but just tell you that the line hasn't been crossed, like and like paint something, and that's just so powerful. I think they have like a powerful weapon in it, and they use it too much, and I think it's just that's part of the insincerity that Tim speaks to.
It's not new. It's not a new thing at all. I think that more and more people are becoming really aware of the con job.
That's
but if you go back and watch that movie, Good Night and Good Luck, or just listen to speeches by Murrow.
Great movie.
He talked about the power of television straight up. He said this device can be used to enlighten, to educate, or it can be simply used to, brainwash and numb out, entertain,
manipulate.
And he knew it. He knew where this was going. And I mean, he got pressured and ousted because he was telling the truth too much. And that's really it. They tried to associate him with communism and all that sort of thing back during McCarthy. But it's nothing new. We've been getting brainwashed by computers and TVs and screens forever. It's just that I think now more and more people are becoming aware of it and realizing that it's happening to them. And as soon as people wake up from it, they can't go back to sleep. They can't unwake because it's like, wait a minute.
See, this is
and then they get upset about it. It's like, wait a minute, they've been doing this to me.
This is what I was saying earlier about why I'm so particular about what my daughter watches. It's not really the particular topic, like I gave makeup tutorials as an example, or just whatever stuff they're obsessed with, girls her age. But it's just, I don't want her to be programmed like that. That's my whole thing about it.
As a little consumer.
Right, because they're programming you to be a good little capitalist and not think for yourself.
Yeah.
And so
just work and buy. Go to sleep, get in the car, work, and then go buy.
Yeah, right.
Watch the TV, get scared by the commercials. You gotta have the stuff, and go buy some more.
Ooh, commercials!
What do you guys think about unions? I never heard them mentioned about from any progressives, really.
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
I have a lot to say.
Here's the thing. My opinion as a libertarian socialist, we need as one of the best things that we can do to build up the strength of the left is to develop worker solidarity, which means is that whether or not we are directly involved in the industries or not, we can help provide the resources to assist workers in becoming unionized, because because ultimately the best way to promote the kind of society that we want to envision, fairness for and equality for all workers and all people, is to create the tools by which we can maintain that society. And building up unions, I think, is a strong and crucial step. Are they perfect all the time? No, but they nonetheless serve a very important function in preventing the worst abuses of the capitalist system, and ultimately could serve as the basis for a democratically controlled workplace
So, Dominic, you probably, I mean, being from the north, or, at least, well, compared to North Carolina, you're up north. And a Democrat, you must have seen. I mean, what happened to unions? I mean,
I was a union official for about 10 years. I was president of the Teamsters Union here in Allentown for 6. And the unions back in the 60s, okay, were strong. And that's why you had the working people had more of a voice, because they would actually bring buses to the factories and take people out to vote on election day. So the politics.
Dominic, you know what you're talking about, and my feeling is so much with unions. I actually got to know him, Utah Phillips. You'll hear me talk about him a lot. He died a couple years back, but he was, a huge voice for union work and organization, and so I've learned a lot about the history of the workers of the world from him. And it's so sad, because I feel like in a lot of ways unions have been marginalized, a lot of their teeth has been pulled, and I wish that could change. And maybe you have something to say about that, because you've got direct experience. And because, back in the early 1900s, when you had mostly it was migrant workers, Norwegians especially, Swedes and things, and they were already protesters and revolutionaries from the time they got over here. So when things started getting nasty on the job, boy, they kind of already knew what to do. They were like, all right, we know what to do. We're going to strike. We're going to organize. And we're going to control the conditions of our labor, which were gifts, not from an enlightened, employer, but because people fought for it and bled for it.
Yep, and
they used to be so strong. So I'd love to hear more from you about that.
Yeah, Dominic, what did you do exactly?
Yeah, I'm curious. Go ahead, Dominic, please.
Well, I drove truck, but for a while, but then for 10 years, I was an officer in Teamsters Local 773, which is one of the biggest locals in this area. And I was president for 6 years. And I went into trucking in the 70s. The unions were still pretty strong, but you could see by design, they took that power away. One of the first things they did was deregulated the trucking industry. Okay, the trucking industry was a well-run industry. There were set routes, there were set rates. People had good jobs, good benefits, and then they deregulated that. Now, if they would have deregulated the routes and kept some type of a rate structure, we would have had a competitive industry. Okay, but they deregulated everything, and that's when you got guys buying trucks. I'd be at the truck stops, and you would hear guys selling their spare tire to get fuel money to go home because they don't have a backload, and they weren't savvy enough to really be in that business. They just wanted to drive a truck no matter what.
Well, big fish eat the small fish somewhere in there.
And if you see the state of the trucking industry now, like I retired from the trucking at age 57. Okay, I have a $3,000 a month pension. Okay, those things are gone. The guys coming into trucking now, they have nothing.
Pensions are gone with everything.
Yeah, and now they want to go to the IRA, which is nothing but another gift to Wall Street.
Wow.
But they NAFTA, every time what they do, they pick away at the unions, because the unions, the working people do have power if they're organized.
Yeah.
And they can't allow that. So NAFTA came in, jobs started going out. Now you have they're going after the teachers unions with these charter schools. And that's not by accident, and that's not for the good of the people. That's for the good of the oligarch.
Absolutely.
I don't know the answer to strengthening the unions now, because they've just been so undermined.
They've gotten good at it.
Yeah.
We're fighting it right now here. The right to work legislation they passed, and it's in court. But just the way that our our government is right now, they'll probably win, and it'll probably pass to where we will be a right-to-work state. I mean, we have a coal mine owner as our governor, so, I mean, it's going to happen. And they've been working and gutting unions here for a very long time, and the only one that really seems to be still in existence is, like, the UMWA, but then, like, it's done so much work. Like, they have saved lives, you know, the UMWA here. But at the same time, it also props up the coal mining industry, which ultimately, you know, is killing us. So, I mean, it's kind of like it helps protect the people that's in it, but for the rest of us, it's like, where's my union? I need one.
Right, yeah.
Well, in West Virginia, do you hear if a politician talks about replacing those jobs with clean energy jobs, what's the general perception of that?
Good question.
Nobody talks about that. I mean, that's just not a conversation. It's always, you know, you either have coal or you can pick fracking.
Right.
You know, one or the other. But I know Paula Jean Swearingen, she's running, and she's actually, you know, kind of carrying like the burning platform of, you know, green jobs, and people really like her because, you know, a lot of people, they've seen the ugly side. They've seen, you know, the pollution and stuff, and most people, I think, we've got like about 25% of the people here are on SSI, and then like another 25% or another 50% is actually employed. So there's 25% of us here that don't have jobs, and it's hurting. And so like, those people are like, yeah, green jobs now. Whatever it is, get it in here. We'll work. We just want to work.
I have an ex up in West Virginia, and boy, I've visited up there, and I attest. Yes, it's a tough state. It's got a lot of needs.
We do need green jobs, definitely, because that will strengthen our economy anyway. And plus, it promotes good jobs. Plus, it saves on energy, and plus, you know, it also conserves on the planet. I mean, honestly, when I hear the word conservative, I was like, why aren't you conserving the planet? That's like silly. To me, it's completely silly. I was like, if you're for conservative, why don't you conserve the earth?
Because they're interested in preserving their. Yeah, because conservative is just a shorthand word for saying we want to conserve the wealth.
Right. There's not much conservation going on because they're not conserving the money either.
No, they should be called the consumatives.
No. I didn't say that they are conserving your money. They're conserving theirs.
Oh, I know.
They're not spending any on you.
That's why I like to say consumative. Oops, sorry.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just going to say, aside from the coal jobs, what's the general perception of the topic of climate change in West Virginia? I mean, I don't know, sometimes when I hear a politician talking, you know, what's the number one threat, climate change, unless you kind of translate that, I think for some of the public into drought means, you know, we're not going to have wheat crops and we're going to have famine, that a lot of people, like, I don't know, out in Kansas, they're like, okay, rising sea level, I'm worried about putting food on the table. Right. Like, that doesn't really concern me. Not that they don't care, but they just can't. Like, you know what I mean? So I wonder if that...
Yeah, there's a lot of that here. I know at first, like, I'm talking like at the beginning of like when Obama was elected, there was the flat out, oh no, you know, it is not real. It's just a lie to get us, you know, to undermine our economy or whatever reason it was, and then people started saying, well, you know, it's real, but I need the job, and now I don't have a job and everything's screwed up.
Yeah, just
but
always
a lot of
wondered
people
that.
like, if you watch the town hall with Bernie, you'll see, you know, the one miner, he said, you know, I think there's a lot of things and that are attributing to it, but like they're admitting, that's kind of like their way of like, well, I was wrong, kind of gradually going over to the, climate change is real.
Hey guys, I need to head off for tonight. It was great chatting with you all. Hopefully I'll be able to join you for longer tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you, Raylos. See ya.
Thank you.
These are marathons, aren't they?
Thanks,
Have
Sales.
a wonderful night now.
Yes.
Yep.
Good
Thank you.
night.
Aloha,
Night.
aloha nui.
Good
Hey,
night.
real quick, I just wanted to say, I know it seems like there's 1,000 problems, and then you can bring it up to about a core of about 8 to 10, and then some serious major problems that are happening, not just in our country, but all over the world. Of course, climate change denial is a problem. The pollution, just famine and our soil being destroyed, the waters being destroyed. Don't even get me started on Fukushima. But here it is in a nutshell, and I think this is why we're coming together. More people are doing this, because I truly believe that we really have to start really doing some serious research on the people we're electing, on the people we're putting in power. Because you can be a philanthropist and you can give and do everything for all these wonderful causes out there, but in order to make real change and permanent change, it comes down to legislation. It comes down to the judiciaries. It comes down to what the executives do at the city, state, and federal levels. And that's up to us. That's up to us. So we can say, let's go get our pitchforks out and go march and stuff like that. But the only people that are actually going to do something about it are the people that create laws.
Well, like Evan said, that we need a receipt for our vote, so we can actually know whether or not.
No, I totally agree. But I think what's happening more, and this didn't happen too much when I first got on Facebook, 2008, sadly, is more people are talking about our leaders. More people are scrutinizing our leaders. More people are doing more research about our leaders. I mean, everybody loved Bernie Sanders, but there's a lot of things that he did that people just didn't like. I mean, I was out petitioning for the guy. I was out knocking on doors. Around here, there's some areas that are seriously conservative. And I was just banging on doors left and right and doing everything I can. And all of a sudden at the DNC, the national convention, he just pulls. I mean, I was heartbroken. A lot of people were that way. So we don't really know who these people are.
He was saying, I won't stop fighting this. That's what he was saying all the way up until his first concession speech. He was like, we're going to keep going. My supporters are really important. That's what he was always saying. So,
yeah. That's my concern that I have, honestly, of all of it is that, our choices are so controlled. It's one thing to say, yeah, let's vote somebody better in. But look what happened. We didn't get who we really wanted.
There were only two real contenders. Everybody stepped down. Those specials, so much above and beyond. She's like royal families. So there were really only.
Ben, please let Ariel continue, and you can talk after.
Do what?
Who?
Keep talking, Ariel. Ben can talk after. Just.
Oh, okay.
No one could hear anything if someone's talking over someone else.
But I was just saying that, the whole thing for me is, how do we get to a point of even trusting that our choices that we end up with aren't rigged? It's like George Carlin said about, you don't have choices. They fool you into thinking you have a choice during an election, but you really don't. It's not a choice. They pick who they want and give you that choice. It's really their choice, not yours. They say, well, both of these are interchangeable. So you pick which one of those that we like. We don't get to say, well, no, we reject both of these. And of course, that's how we got Trump.
I thought that Bernie was supposed to invigorate and inspire the Republican or the Democratic far left and get a lot of people out to vote and then get more people participating in our democracy. I thought Trump was supposed to do the same for the right. I didn't think either of them were feasible from the get-go. But I think that what's unfortunate about everything that turned out happening, being exposed, is in the end, when you see that the democracy, when we first of all, we lose hope again, just like we did with Obama and with Bernie, or every time we try to believe in something. I think.
All right, Stevie, you were going to say something.
Yeah, like it became so just clear to me when I was watching the governor race, the race. Yeah, but it was basically like the Trump Clinton, race, but like on a micro scale, and because like the Democrat was a billionaire coal baron, and then you had the Republican who was just bought by the billionaire coal baron. So he was still was going to do the same things. He was going to still hire the people from Goldman Sachs, banking. It was the same. We didn't have a choice. I mean, Joe Manchin. I mean, like, come on. That's like, that's all you got to tell people is Joe Manchin. Those are our choices. Which corporation do you want to vote for?
Wow, you nailed that on the head.
Pretty much. Yeah. So we know what we don't know, and this is in everybody's head, and I guarantee it. And I just put this on the chat line. Does our vote really count? Is it really viable? You know what I mean? Does anybody have that feeling like, I don't know if my vote's really doing what it's supposed to be doing? Does anybody have that feeling?
Yeah, that's what Evan said last night. Was it last night?
Yeah, it was last night. We don't have a receipt to actually know for sure.
Right.
I mean,
we should. Definitely.
Yeah, we should.
I mean, that seems like the most simplest thing ever.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But
and it does truly know because we can hold those. Because we could truly, hold those voting machines and the people who run it accountable.
Definitely.
You still have to add the receipts up, which is not an easy thing.
Of course.
Well, you can always tag them that have a specific type of key. That way, it's you, and you can release it to whoever's doing the counting. But you have to have multiple, not just the public, but also some private entities. Add them up and make sure that certain random matchups are actually matching up correctly. And so there's a lot of tests you can do, a lot of things where they can still protect that who you voted for was who you voted for without revealing it to the public. And that's what some people are worried about of letting that out to people. But if certain keys and things like that don't match up across different parties that are all adding them up together separately, then you've got discrepancies and problems. And right now we can't do that because all this is all kind of behind the scenes. I mean,
people have done a lot of fundraising, grassroots fundraising in the last 10 years. Online fundraising, it was the marvel of Obama. And I just worried about that being, I don't know. That says something really profound. Let me just say that people can believe in something and maybe support somebody.
Did I understand this correctly? Like each voter will have a key for themselves, and then you would be able to go onto a website or something later on, and you would have all the keys there, and you could search for your own. Like under a candidate or something.
Yeah, so it could also be similar to like a Bitcoin. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Give me a second. It could be similar to like a blockchain where it's a ledger. So you've got a certain key and you can match it up, and that way you can always make sure that is what it is, that key. So there are ideas out there. There are solutions. It's just actually implementing them and adopting them. And so far,
we gotta attack the power structure, just at every. I mean, they don't just sit there and think of what one tactic are we going to go with? They hit us from all sides. So that's what we've got to do. We got to do the voting. I mean, we've got to boycott. Make jokes, laugh at them, just anything that you can do to undermine their power.
I agree. Undermining their power with humor, I love it.
Oh, that's the one thing that they can't stand is to be like laughed at. You know, they're so serious and they're so important, and it's just so great to see people like like Jimmy and Tim too. You know, just giving them hell.
Oh yeah, I'm all for that. Because, comedy is a great weapon, and plus it gets people to relate and actually bring more people together. That's why I love comedy.
Yeah, it's just too bad there aren't enough voices doing that right now that are, Lee Camp is great, Tim, Jimmy Dore.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's most of show business, as we talked about before, seems to be shilling for, Democrats. I mean, Saturday Night Live, oh my God.
Oh God.
They've done Charles, what the hell is it? George Carlin would be, he's just flipping over in his grave doing backflips. He would be so disappointed in the direction of SNL. I just guarantee it.
He wouldn't be surprised though.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's true. He wouldn't be surprised.
I watch clips of his stuff so often. It's very relevant. I was saying this earlier, actually. Okay, it's getting late. I'm repeating myself. Is anyone I think I'm starting to fade.
I'm good. Over here, we're fine in California because...
oh, right. Well, normally I'm a really night owl, like 3:30, but I've been up a long time. So.
Hey, who here lives in a remote, town, like the small town? Anybody here in a small town?
I live in a small town.
Where is that at, sir? Dominic?
Creek, Pennsylvania.
Okay, just go ahead.
It's a little village.
Oh, nice. So I'm in the epicenter of commerce. There's $8 billion that runs through this city, but for some reason we don't have a football team. I don't know. It just pisses me off. But anyway, it's nuts. There's people from all over the world that come here to visit. And everybody is polite, and everybody is kind, and everybody is. There's not a lot of criminal activity. There's not a lot of purse snatchers, not a lot of robberies. Everything's pretty well organized and done. Our biggest issue that's starting, and it's really getting bad, and it's an issue to me because I feel for these people, is the homelessness. They're building these tents up against these river jetties, and it's just and I've been out here for about 4 or 5 years. I've lived in California probably too long, but just seeing this compile and grow like a virus, it used to be just like several tents, or awnings or whatever they could use, but now it's just gotten really, really bad. And not to bring anybody down, and not to, all of a sudden, everybody kind of went down there. But there's so many things. There's so much money flowing through a city. That's what's so amazing about the United States of America, is we're so rich, we're so powerful, but we treat ourselves, or, I'm not talking about you guys. It seems like you guys all have wonderful hearts and fantastic down-to-earth people. But there are some really insidiously corrupt sickos out there, and it's just sad. And
that's because that's what our society rewards now.
Yeah.
That cheating and whatever it takes to get,
I think on the right, you see people that are willing to say, well, if you don't have health insurance, some euphemism, well, good luck for you. Oh, well, if you don't make money, then, whatever. I think that's an ideology. It's going to be very hard to shake that. It's very deep rooted right now, especially.
Yeah, there's no
If
empathy.
you can't afford it, just don't buy an iPhone. It's like, well, I can't afford to buy an iPhone, so where am I supposed to go with that?
The major reason why I brought up that point is I really believe the direction of our country, and I think there's so much ignorance. It's just nuts. And you guys seem very well educated, and you guys care. And it's just, I know there's millions of us out there. It's our voices are saturated from the media that is Comcast, Time Warner, Soros, Murdoch. I guess that's that he died.
The guy
But
from
anyway,
was hanging out with Hillary and making and some things were going on there too.
yeah, just I mean, but the thing is
Monopoly.
I think it's all the crazies. I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like all the sicko wacko crazy people somehow find a way to get their hands on billions of dollars. What the hell? I don't get it. You know?
Well, it's usually inherited, isn't it?
Were hugged enough as a child, you know, like. I mean, look at Donald Trump. Do you think, like, his dad, like, seriously, like, took him out and played, you know, ball with him and cared about his feelings? You know, I mean, like, I think it's just, like, one of those things that's just, it kind of feeds, like, I mean, same thing with, like, poverty. I mean, you have, you know, it messes up the family structure, and I think the more money you have is going to end up messing your kids up, too.
Yeah, it goes.
Absolutely.
You got like these insane people with billions of dollars.
Well, like I said, that's one of my favorite topics because I have a lot of experience in both. But yeah, I can say absolutely. Like where I live, there are a lot of kids that have way too much all the time. And I don't think you're doing your kids any favors. I think a lot of parents are busy, both are working professional jobs or whatever, but you're not doing your kids any favors to just give them everything because unless you're planning to do that forever, it can backfire. So,
yeah, if you're going to do that, you might want to just get an island for your kid and keep them on that because they're going to end up doing some damage out there in society. You know?
Yeah, but it's hard, you know, as a parent, you want to give your kid more than you had, or you want, you know.
Especially when you grow up in poverty and you know that struggle, and then you're like, oh man, I'm going to give my kids all this stuff I never had.
Mm-hmm. But you know, tonight I think I'm a terrible mom for this. But my daughter she was overtired, and I don't know, she had a tiff with somebody at gymnastics, and she was just snapping and. It was very unusual for her, but she like yelled at me, and I just gave her a lecture. And she's like, "Where's the toothpaste?" And I was like, so I brought her a new tube of toothpaste, and I was like, do you know how much this costs? Your dad works really hard. Like I just gave her this lecture. Like I don't know. They think they just don't appreciate things if they don't know, you know, like what we go through to provide for them.
And then, you know, with all these tax cuts for the rich. For the Walton families and stuff, you know, we could have like stimulated the economy and helped out the poor. I think that's sort of the point, to the part of the matter.
Yeah, I know, like my brother and sister were fighting the other day, and I told them, I was like, you know, and usually I just tell them, oh, get along, and I'm like, do you realize that they're trying to steal our money and take our jobs and do all this? I was like, you know, family and people, that's the only thing you got now, and they just kind of looked at me like. Okay, where did that come from? But hey, they stopped arguing.
Yeah, well, see, my husband and I struggled for a long time, but our older daughter kind of remembers those days, but our younger daughter has no recollection of that. So I just want to make sure she's not spoiled, you know. She knows how much toothpaste costs, you know.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
My question is.
Go ahead.
Why don't all you progressives just move to Canada or something, or Australia?
My mother's Canadian. Actually, I'm half Canadian. So I actually don't. I have citizenship, but I haven't filed for it, so I don't have proof of it. But we've thought about it a lot, actually. But I don't know. We're here, so.
I lived in British Columbia for a few years. I know Canada. It's beautiful. So the mindset that I'm getting to is these rich people, which is really interesting because they have families, they're going to have heirs, they're going to want a legacy, yet a good majority of them do not believe in climate change. It's okay that I'm making $2 to $3 million a year for my factory, but I want it deregulated so that I can spill all my toxins into the river my son will be bathing in next summer. It just makes no sense.
It could be that. Sorry to cut you off. It could be that they're so rich that they may believe in climate change or think that it'll happen, but the money that they accumulate, the wealth that they have, it's going to save them.
Right.
It always has.
You're shielded from it. That their kid will have a private pool on his property or whatever.
I mean, they should be thinking about the future of the planet, though. I mean, honestly, do they want their children and their grandchildren and their great grandchildren to actually look into a deep future of thinking, oh my God, what did they do? I mean, people will have to come to that realization. I mean, honestly, Donald Trump should come to that realization. Honestly, to tell the truth, I mean, he does have a property in Florida, but he should get into the solar business. I mean, honestly, it would make a lot of money, and plus, it would do good for the economy. And he's a businessman. He should do that.
It'd be a lot bigger gesture than just giving away his salary.
It's a Republican mentality, I think. My grandfather, who just passed away, he was very Republican.
I'm sorry to hear
Thank you. He's like my dad, so it's been tough. It's good I've been very occupied with all this stuff because actually my grandmother died the end of December and then he died in February. So, but they were in their mid late 90s, so good long life. But anyway, both he and then my uncle, who's a banker, he's very Republican, they don't, when it comes to climate change or, food, like what you eat, there's no immediate, it's not on their radar because there's no immediate effect. They're looking at they have very tunnel vision, like in so many ways. Like it's all about the bubble that they live in, and those things are not affecting them. Flint was only an hour away from where my grandparents and my uncle lived, but that's not their water. I mean, I hate to say that because obviously, I mean, I don't think they're bad people. It's kind of a dilemma for me because, I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's just the way that they think, they almost, I made the argument that I think they almost would be like, oh, there's lead in our water. Like, sure, they would, of course, it would get cleaned up more quickly. But I almost think they just think all that it's not important. I don't know how else to explain it. It's not an immediate, they don't see an immediate danger.
Convince them.
Is there a denial? You think they just so you have these gazillionaires? Like, here's a great example. So what Eric's saying is, and I brought this up to a few people that were very rich and powerful that I've spoken to in the past. By the way, living around this area, I've been to Bel Air, I've been to Beverly Hills, and at the same time been in the slums of Santa Ana and some other places at the same time. But so I've met all kinds and I've had conversations. But the thing is I brought up this point of Tahiti, Bora Bora, of these beautiful places, of the reefs. And one day, Fukushima, or the pollution and the island that's as big as Texas swirling around that's made of plastic in the Pacific Ocean, and many like that, is going to seriously affect their ability to go bathe out at one of these wonderful resorts with their yachts. There's going to be a sign when they go out to the beach to go in the water, sorry, you can't go out there, it's toxic. I mean, not that it's going to happen in the next couple of years, but it's coming pretty fast, and this stuff,
and younger people are just going to
compounding so quick.
Their kids are probably going to be comparatively concerned.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So you look at the Olympics with the algae, the toxic algae, and I think it happened off the coast of Florida too. And that's a pretty big tourist destination. So I mean, it's already happening.
Or here's my other thing. Some of these very extremely wealthy elitist people, and I wouldn't say the majority of them, but a good amount of them that are crazy. And I don't like banging or beating down religion, because I do say prayers every once in a while, is that they believe in Armageddon, the four horsemen, the end of times, end of days. And I think some of them are thinking, and this could be just a theory for a small group of them, the world's going to crap, everybody's going to die, Jesus is going to come and swoop everybody away or whatever, so we might as well just take what we can now. That could be another. I just don't get the thinking. They're just these rich people are supposed to be so smart. There's some that are great entrepreneurs. Some of them, like Trump, had his money handed down to him. But you just have to think, aren't they smarter than that? Or don't they have?
Well,
I wish.
When your one goal is to make money, it doesn't really take a genius to do that.
That's true. They're smart enough.
Yeah.
Well, they're
boggles my mind.
They hire other people to do their thing, and they don't even have to be smart. They just hire people to do their laundry, to do their cleaning, to do their thinking. I mean, they don't have to do anything they don't want to do.
And from my experience, you're talking about two different groups of Republicans. I guess that would be, whatever, the upper class and the, I'll say, Palinite, the religious right. May have a different view, but I know for I don't know, like my uncle, the banker, it's all about immediate and what affects me and mine. There's just nothing beyond that. And I mean, he's a non-practicing Catholic, so he's not an evangelical. So
I think it's like basic human programming. Like we just, we deal with the immediate. We see whatever's our reality right now is always going to be the reality.
As you get older,
same thing here even with poor people. This is our reality. We can't change it.
I think people are more plastic and have more pliability. Or I don't know.
Oh, when they're younger, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. And my uncle's a younger boomer, I guess. He's 62. It's so funny because he was such a giant hippie back in the day. I mean, I've got all these pictures of him with his long hair and his mustache. Now he's a banker.
I always wondered what happened to those people.
I mean, he was raised in a very conservative, I think some people are like that in their youth and then they flip back, to what they grew up in, I guess.
Somebody once ran across me, like they said, I just think we're expressions of our environments. And when I heard that, I don't know, I wanted to contest it, but then I just always known it's totally true. But then I think that when you're older, that you there's a process that happens. Maybe I would say it's around 18 or after or somewhere, and it takes a while. But there's a process when you become more and more to where you're gonna expose yourself to ideas, or you're just gonna take charge of who you associate with, and then so where you're sewn together by your experiences and things you can't really control about your environment. Then when you're older, there's an opportunity for sure to take charge of that yourself, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we are the products of. I mean, when people say it takes a village to raise a child, you can tell that some villages are pretty screwed up, right? and then next thing you know, you have this kid that comes out and starts shooting people in churches, and then you have a kid that comes out and does wonderful things, like creates great inventions to help. There's a kid who's I forgot his name, but he's actually created a way to clean pollution off of the ocean surfaces in a massive rate, and he was 18 or 19 when he did it. Mm-hmm. I don't know, you've probably seen it, but it was really cool. So you have kids like that, and then and you need more of that, but in
the problems in the community, which are harder to address, they're bigger challenges to tackle. It's really easy just to say, oh, this person's bad, and the punish them or send them to a counselor or psychiatrist who's going to pin it all on them and not address the environment and the conditions that made somebody. Well, it's not all either way, so that's what's tricky about it. But but I think that it is both. There are both at hand. Is kind of what we're saying.
Well, part of this also segues to an entirely different issue, but it's related. It's with patents and inventions of who owns it. A lot of the stuff that's out there can be used really well and improve the way the world is. The only problem is there's no profit into it, and if someone does find a way to profit into it, they'd have to pay all the fees to use someone else's patent invention or whatever you call it. And and it sucks because if you have something out, say you're building something really great, and that's going to help people, and you have this company that comes and says, "Hey, we like what you're doing. I think it'll help us, and so we want to buy your company." So they'll offer you like $2 million. So you go, "Okay, yeah, I think I'll do that." And so they take it, and then they just don't even use it. And you're
I would say just look into it. Always look into the contracts first and make sure that what you're doing is right or wrong, because all that is very tricky.
Yeah. Well, some people probably think, well, with $2 million, that could just if they even take it, I'll just create something else. But then
really important. We really need all that. We don't need to underutilize technology. We need to like bring everybody to the table, and in a sense, but we should be letting innovation happen as quickly as it can happen, and let these inventions, like, you know, if people had a better opinion of, and there was a better like reputation for these patent companies in the whole system, then you'd have a more robust like injection of new ideas and innovations. That's what everything's about. And again, like, just from school, I always was told that that's what America was about, and like, I want to see it.
Yeah.
True.
Okay, so here's something interesting. The Powerball. You guys know what the California Powerball is? You ever heard of it?
Yeah.
It's at $302 million. $302 million. Now, I know exactly what I would do with $302 million. I know exactly what I'd do. I do whatever I could to help bring about a better future for my kids. And I'm a grandpa, by the way. And he's a new kid, kind of like Mr. Kim's kid, which is really cool. And I love kids; they're awesome. It's just, you know, I'm like a kid myself. But what would we do? See, my point is, all these there's billionaires and people that are close to being trillionaires, and when you see the Waltons, when you see Bill Gates, it's like, what are you really doing with your money? What are you really what are you really helping? You know, so I know exactly what I would do if I won that $302 million Powerball. I would do everything I could to help advance cleaning, making sure that cleaning the environment, getting more attention to Fukushima, getting more attention to the people that actually cared, that actually cared about the planet. I'm really concerned that isn't our most important direction we need to be going. Yes, Seth Rich is going to blow the top off of everything, and I cannot wait for that to happen. But I would really like for people to really try to focus on the future, not of just the planet, but all of its inhabitants. That's just so important to me. I think that should be number one goal, because if we're going to survive, we need to come together on that one united front.
We've already done so much bad, like in 100 years, and and so by being inefficient on purpose sometimes to like, you know, I mean, when they set up cities in the Midwest, they like zoned them really carefully, and you had these big 1-ton cars because profit was like way better when you have like when you're selling more, they're burning more, and for a higher price, because then you got that stress of the high demand. So like, this has just been going on for way too long, and like and you know, we got to make up for that. We got to counter that, not do more of the same like inefficient like junk. Totally, man. E does not equal MC squared when we pollute needlessly. Just because that's works out, you know, like in the realm of their profits. Like, so it's the worst industry ever, you know.
So what does it matter? That's what I'm saying. So what does it matter if we have great inventions? What does it matter that we have great literature, great poems, or wonderful music? What does it really matter anymore if we know that, and I'm telling you this, in 40 to 50 years from now, Waikiki is going to be underwater.
What I'm most concerned, what I'm very, very concerned about, everybody is concerned.
That's going to suck.
like it's just that people are going to like have civil unrest when you have food scarcity. It's like a fact.
Oh, it's gonna be crazy.
Undeniable fact. So,
Oh, the movie, The Big Short. Have you guys all seen that? I can't remember
Yes.
the guy's name, the one that was basically the genius that figured it all out. At the end of the movie, you know, they talk about how what he's investing in now is water.
Yeah.
You know, that tells you something.
Was that Nestle? Was it Nestle?
Oh, hopefully not.
Yeah.
But
No,
no,
it wasn't him.
About you know, focusing on the Seth Rich story and all that, I've found it kind of hard to focus on. Like, I'm going to the People's Summit also, and I'm really excited about it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I can't believe that happened, but I feel sometimes like I've gotten away from, like, you know, it's not that I don't care about those issues, but I feel like until we, like right now, the Democratic Party is working overtime to try to co-opt the whole, you know, Bernie's movement and suck it back under the Democrats. And I think if that succeeds, then it doesn't matter how many people's summits we have and all this stuff, it's not going to happen because they're just going to speak it and, you know, give it lip service, whatever whether it's climate change or maybe they're going to come around on the fight for 15 now, but you know, all those issues, unless our votes count, unless, you know, the DNC fraud lawsuit is one, you know, then it almost feels like a gerbil wheel. Like, I'm not saying we shouldn't focus on those issues, but it's like we have to fight this corruption has to be brought down. Or
I think technology can be an answer. It just it gets brought down like I'm a big conspiracy theorist type of person. Nikola Tesla had an idea or an invention of free energy. This was almost I don't know, just short of a century ago. And the thing is, no one would want it except for people like us, people who want wealth, who want ownership of things. When you have free energy, they can't control and gain things more than other people because with free energy comes just less supply, less demand, and it goes on towards just keep growing and in a more efficient way. The inefficiencies is what gets people rich. It's always the first to build something.
Incentivizes otherwise, then
yeah. So once we get technology going and a whole bunch of things that can exist outside the system of capitalism, there's no other unless the rich, super rich, and super powerful forced to take it down. I think that's when there's going to be a standoff between a new revolution of kind of growth and I guess the next evolution of humankind in their growth process, because right now we're just fighting for scraps, the same old thing that we've been doing for centuries, and there just has to be a catalyst of something that occurs, and it should be something that we create, and it just has to get adopted. And once it gets adopted, I think there's nothing to do except for keep working with it. I mean,
Congress and our elected officials could put incentives out there that basically provide fines, regulations, oversight, ensure transparency on like matters of pollution, and then make it more costly to not comply with it. It's not, and we can move towards that. If we can't get all the way there, we can just like start taking away the subsidies for oil.
I think the people in power aren't gonna do that. We have to create
with our
basically technologies that just kind of are just kind of put out to the public, and they can use it whenever they want. And there's no power in the universe, I guess you could say, that can take it from them. And that's just kind of the mindset I think we have to do, because government is about control, and it's control for a reason, because you have to enforce laws, you have to enforce regulations. But when things are created that there's mostly benefits instead of negative connotations to whatever is going on, then it's hard to put all this out into words in live, but it's basically it's no reason to not adopt something that's kind of say 90% of it's going to be positive output, and then maybe 10% of it is based on just upkeep, maintenance.
Like for example, if we made the gas like $9 a gallon, but then gave the oil companies like $4 of it just to like appease them, it would still help. It would sort of help like bring about. It would make the other technologies cheaper or different things. It would force different things to happen. So like I don't know. I just think there's all kinds of possibilities within that framework. But I had another. But I was going to say something about how the environment, protecting the environment. I really believe that like all the beautiful animals, like the sounds that they make and all these things, the color, just the way that that's delighted us for all time. Like, you know, we should protect that and all people and just like everything and every animal that's made, every species that's made it to 2017. Like that should be our duty. Like, okay, you made it to 2017, you're safe. We're going to make sure, you know, we're going to like scientifically analyze and make sure that we do right by all of it. I feel so sad when like languages are lost. They say like 2 dialects or languages are lost a month. Like, I mean, there's so much knowledge and things that are lost there. And it always kind of like upsets me. But at the same time, I realize there's so much out there still. There's so many stories and anecdotes, and like I say, old people are the nest of like wisdom and knowledge. Like there's so much out there that we can still learn from and gather. And so like I don't really look back, but sometimes you lose a species of animal and like, you know, that's it. Or you did like an environment is like done damage to. But I guess. Another thing that it's totally so separate. When Ivan was talking, I thought it like, you know, what if, because if we were smart, if we were all smart, we would all work together. Like, what if the Justice Democrats and the Bernie and like the and the other every other kind of like no money in politics, the Bernie Crats, everybody like all got together, like you could publicize it, like Tim Black meeting with Sank and even like Rachel Maddow or even like or something. Like, everybody like some kind of big thing. Maybe not Rachel Maddow, that's too far, but like if all these people could get together, we could just like talk about it and like, okay, yeah, we have this common interest, we have this common reason to make up with our beefs and squash our beefs, and I just really think there's a potential there, because then we could just like let bygones be bygones, and still we're not like divided at core. Like we know that we're all maybe liberals, but then we could have our separate voices. It would like mutually publicize. I don't know. That's separate.
Well, that's how we got into this mess. It's a lot of co-opting. I mean. People who are in power, who have more money, are just going to take advantage of those that don't. That's just the way things have always been. And so that's why people who are powerless, people who are poor, they're usually the ones that are like more distrusting of people, because they are usually the ones on the brunt end of that relationship.
Agreed.
You know, I think
as far as prevailing the liberal cause.
The chat room is talking about food. So we should do another. That's a good, important topic. Maybe when it's not so late already.
Yeah.
We should do that on another one. I think it would be a great thing. I don't know. I have a lot of interest in that stuff.
Me too.
We should do that when we aren't all hungry.
Yeah.
Right.
And Tim is really interested in it too. Maybe he'd join in.
Yeah, I noticed that. He's mentioned it a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and got so many issues like food deserts in cities, and most of the American diet is horrible. Sugars and everything, not just sugar.
I have some like, different ideas, various ideas about different things that I like always want to like mention if people will hear me. But I just relating to my topic of like losing knowledge. I had this idea about what if there was like a Facebook of ideas and places. Like I know there's like WikiLeaks, but so I say like the people who've spoken, they want video, they want different things. Like it's just the way it is. I mean, like people aren't reading as much, like especially books and things. They like gravitate to those types of things, images, like memes. It's just like I just feel like we have to like if you're trying to go be a writer and publish books about this, you might not reach as many people. I think that there's like this idea that there's this possibility for like if you had like every town and every like events and things like listed in this like as all possible tags and like interrelated with each other, and then like people could make videos of like their grandparents talking or any old people that they know. Like so this would be like a platform only for people like 55 plus because, or 60 plus or something, because these people aren't typically online, aren't typically doing anything, but they have so much knowledge and they can tell us stories and keep us from repeating history. So like, I just think that the only reason I know this would work is because I think that they kind of want to be involved, and they're like all this suspicion, all these millennials, they don't really know, but they kind of want to like get online. But then also like it would be like bonding for like the kids and their grandparents and telling the stories. And also like if I told my grandma like, there's so and so in Fredericktown, Missouri, that's like, and start talking about the carnival or fair in 1960, or like there could be like an event that like would like, oh, and then they have something they want to say and add to it. So then like as us young people, we record the videos and put the tags out there. It's complex idea, but by doing that, like linking it all together, eventually there's that excitement, which is key to like rudiment or essential to any success for like any kind of thing like that, to where everybody's doing it and building the site itself just with people, regular people. And I just like think that we have to care for the young people. The young people, I mean, we have to care for the old people. The old people have to like be willing to like try to give us sincere and earnest advice, and like it's like a mutual relationship. And times have never been so different. Maybe it's always felt that way, but times of that like the demographics, or these segments or whatever, very different, have different mindsets and experiences, and are very like divided and don't understand each other well enough. So thanks for hearing me.
I learned so much from my grandparents. I mean, it's just but my grandma, she was 96, and she actually had an iPad, and she was very with it. And I want to tell a funny story. So she was always on her iPad, and she said, "Well, I heard Donald Trump say that Hillary got shalonged," and I didn't know what that meant, so I had to look it up. I was like, "Oh no, what is twerking?" And she would go on and, but she was very with it. But because they were so mentally, I mean, they were like 70 in their mind, their bodies just gave out on them finally, but they were so with it that they had so many stories to tell. And I just learned so much from them. I mean, my grandmother remembers her aunt, who was actually a professor at Sweetbriar College, which is really unheard of because she was, a woman. But her fiance had died, so she ended up being a professor. But anyway, my grandmother remembers her talking about that she, in like 1930, I think, or 1929, right after the crash, that the future was going to be those typing machines. And so she would tell me just stories like that. Like, it kind of blows your mind to think like just how different, that's less than 100 years ago, but how different it was, When
I was growing up, my first doctor, my first pediatrician as a baby was a lady named Dr. Leela Denmark, and she's, I would say, maybe a somewhat famous name in Georgia because she was.
Oh, you froze.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
We're here for you, though.
What happened?
Story never told.
Just as it was getting good.
I know, right?
I don't know. I'm getting a bit rambly. I think I'm going to have to sign off here shortly.
Yeah.
I know I'm the host, but
It's okay.
It's over.
I don't have my usual energy level tonight because
it's been over
I got
3
up
hours.
so early. What?
Thank you.
It's been over 3 hours. 3 hours and 12
it's
minutes.
long.
So
yeah.
Maybe
so,
this is a good time to sign off. Yeah.
This is fantastic. I thank you guys for allowing me to come into this chat room. It's been totally eye-opening. I am so excited that there's people out there very similar to me that truly want something positive to happen. And it looks like, and it really appears that most of you see that we're in a very big dark tunnel, but I can tell that Mr. Kim has and Kelley and AO and everybody can see there's still light at the end of this very long dark tunnel. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate you guys just letting me come in and blurt out my
blur. That's the whole, like, I keep saying this is the best part of Tim's show, and then of doing this now, is that he has callers and that just regular people call in.
Well, the best part of Tim's show is Tim, but
Do what?
Yeah, I already subscried to Tim.
I'm sorry. I'm just being facetious.
Oh. But no, it's just great because the second, like, if we lost that, then we would lose touch, just like TYT or any other. You're out of touch with what people think.
Right.
So I think it's great. I'll be more awake for the next one.
Thank you, Kelley. Thank you, guys. I
Thank
truly
you
appreciate
again,
you guys
everybody.
coming aboard.
Tomorrow night, Eric should be hosting.
Mm-hmm.
So-
I'm all ready.
All right.
All right.
Wait, who's
See
hosting
everyone-
tomorrow night?
Eric.
Me.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, by the way, you guys, I'm Hawaiian Chinese, so
All right.
Cool.
aloha no ka'ako ka'ako valino. That means thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening. Blah, blah, blah.
All right. Bye, guys.
All right,
Bye,
you
guys.
guys have a good one.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone
Good
who's
night,
on chat.
everybody.
See everyone tomorrow.
Bye.
All right.
Yep.
Bye bye.
Good night.
Uh,